Hello everyone, and welcome to the Fictional Vortex. So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Naruto was banished from Konoha and adopted by shadow gods, Naruto Become Hero the World. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Chapter 01. Banish. A lone figure was walking down the road in Fire Country. He was wearing a battered orange jumpsuit that was torn all over the place. His blonde hair was soaked wet from the pouring rain. But his eyes were hollow and empty. The 12-year-old genin name was Uzumaki Naruto, and he was now a Ronin. A shinobi without a home, without a village, without a dream. It all started when the retrieval team failed their mission. Kakashi had carried Naruto to the hospital. Flashback. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto said in a slow voice. Rest, Naruto. You're in the hospital. You're pretty low on chakra, and your injuries are being looked after by Tsunade-sama. Kakashi said. Sasuke. Naruto said in a slow voice. Kakashi hung his head and remained silent. But his silence was all Naruto needed to know to confirm he failed to stop his friend. Naruto didn't spend long in the hospital. Apparently the village council of elders and the village councilors wanted to see him. The Anbu came and escorted him. Kakashi walked with him and eyed the Anbu suspiciously. Sakura, Naruto said to his pink-haired teammate as she walks up to him. Slam. Sakura fist contacted with Naruto's skull, causing the wounded blonde to fall to the ground. I should have known better than to trust you to bring Sasuke-kun back. You're the reason why he left. I wish you had died. You don't deserve to live. I hope the council orders you to be executed for being what you are. A monster. That's uncalled for, Sakura, Kakashi said in a threatening tone of voice. Sakura said nothing but gave a humph and storms off. Things got worse when Naruto entered the council chambers. Naruto did not like the councilors. They were mostly civilians who were fat and spent most of their time and money making his life miserable. Worst, they were in the villager shinobi elder's pocket. Uzumaki Naruto, do you know we have summoned you? Elder Udatane Kaharu said. No, Naruto answered truthfully. We are concerned about the display of using the monster's chakra, better known as the Kyuubi's chakra, against one Uchiha Sasuke. Elder Mitokata Homura said. I had no choice. Sasuke was using Orochimaru's curse seal and it made him look unhuman. Not to men. I got hit by the Chidori 1000 brids twice. Naruto said in protest. He should have foreseen this. He knew that they hated him just for being a Jinchuriki. The village council must have given the elders a lot of money to set this all up. It was the perfect excuse. While that is understandable, Uzumaki Naruto, we have our concerns and quite frankly, we are worried. Specifically you using that foil monster's chakra. You even mention in your report you felt like you were losing control of yourself and summoning to Kyuubi's chakra, which holds nothing but malice, hate and anger. How do we know that the Kyuubi is not influencing you? Kaharu said. I control my own actions. It's true I feel those things when I use the Kyuubi's chakra, but I control my actions. Naruto said in protest. He knew, however, it was fallen on deaf ears. This isn't the first time you've lost control, is it? Homaru asks. No, Naruto admitted sadly. Yes, against the terrorist Momochi Zabuza, you lost control against his apprentice Haku, I believe, and you admitted you could have mauled Uchiha Sasuke then. But I didn't, Naruto shouted. Hold on, is this about Naruto using the Kyuubi's chakra? Because I've seen the reports on the Chunin exams and Naruto demonstrated the ability to control the Kyuubi's chakra to some degree. That's why he's under apprenticeship with Jiraiya. So Jiraiya can keep an eye on Naruto and have Naruto grow strong enough to control the Kyuubi's chakra. Tsunade said in an angry tone of voice. Can he, Tsunade? Shimura Danzo said for the first time. There's nothing special about him. He doesn't even have his father's talent. He's also proving to be a problem more than a liability. It's true he can draw out the beast's chakra, but he cannot control. As Hokage you must think what's best for the village and not your own selfish desires. The question I have, what happens if he loses control in the middle of the village? Didn't you hear a word I said? Tsunade said. Of course, but can you and Jiraiya truly keep the boy in check? The Fire Demo doesn't think so and agree with us that the boy is unstable. Danzo said in a monotone voice. Naruto knew at once where this was going. He didn't like it, but it was true. Danzo, you bastard, Tsunade growled. Danzo is not wrong, Tsunade. There is the matter of Akatsuki. According to Jiraiya, they are made up of 10S class criminals. And Orochimaru used to be one of them, and he killed the Sandaime Hokage. Uchiha Itachi is one of them, and he nearly got his hands on the Kyuubi. We cannot face Orochimaru and Akatsuki. Kumogakure, Hidden Cloud Village, and Iwagakure, Hidden Stone Village, are mobilizing their shinobis. Things are very tense right now in the world, and the possibility of another war is blooming on the horizon. Konoha must take actions to secure its citizens. Kaharu said, "You only made this meeting to make it official. You've already made up your minds." "We have, and the boy has not convinced us he can keep the Kyuubi in check." Homaru said. The civilians' council members were all smiling. "Uzumaki Naruto, you are no longer a Konoha shinobi. You are banished. You will have your chakra seal. Eden will be expected to leave Konoha within 24 hours, or you will be executed." Danzo said with a sly smile. "You can't do that. I'm the Hokage, and I decided who is banished and who stays." Tsunade barked. "I'm afraid the Daimyo of Fire Country has given us executive orders to handle the matter as we see fit and what we believe is in the best interest of Konoha. Uzumaki Naruto is an unstable Jinchuriki who can no longer serve as a Konoha shinobi. Perhaps if he survives Akatsuki, he can become a farmer." Danzo said with a smile. The Anbu took Naruto away and placed him in a sealing amber where they put a chakra suppressing seal on him and something else. Naruto was in his apartment packing his things. He knew he couldn't take any ramen with him, but he had some MREs, meal ready to eat, military prep food. "Yo," Kakashi said as he appeared in the window. "Kakashi-sensei," Naruto said in a sad tone of voice. "Listen, Naruto, I'm sorry for what happened to you. It's unfair and uncalled for. Tsunade is attempting to pension the Fire Daimyo to overrule the council's decision and get you reinstated as a Konoha shinobi. But in case you even get your chakra unsealed, you should read these." Kakashi said, giving Naruto a small bag. "I know you don't like to read, but these contain skills and jutsus that you will find useful." "Kakashi-sensei, where's Ero Sennin?" "He's currently out looking at some leads on Akatsuki. Tsunade sent him a message, but we don't know when he'll be back." Kakashi said. Naruto laid his forehead protector on the table and looks at Kakashi. "I'm going to miss you, Kakashi-sensei," Naruto said in a sad tone of voice. "I'll walk you out," Kakashi said as he and Naruto walked towards the village main gate. It was slow because Naruto could not use chakra to increase his speed to get to the gate. Azumo and Katetsu were at the guard post and waved Naruto over. "Listen, Naruto, we want to say we're sorry for the council's decision and we want to wish you luck wherever you go," Azumo said. "Your dream to become Hokage may have ended, but you can always find a new dream. Just don't give up. Isn't that your ninja shinobi way?" Katetsu said. "Thanks," Naruto said in a low tone of voice. "Open the gates. It's best that he leaves now before the council decides to make a celebration of his banishment," Kakashi said. The two form some hand seals and the massive gates open up. "Don't give up hope, Naruto. There are those here who will be fighting for your return," Kakashi said with an eye smile. Naruto walks forward, aware that Kakashi was watching him until he disappeared in the shadows. "Good luck, Uzumaki Naruto," Kakashi said as he turns his head back to the Hokage monument. "I have failed you, Minato-sensei." Flashback ends. My life in Konoha comes to an end. I'll never be Hokage now. Is that what you're going to do? Quit. Kyuubi's voice suddenly said in his head, and Naruto was suddenly pulled into the damp mine sewer of the Kyuubi's prison. "What do you mean?" Naruto asks. "There are other ways for you to become Hokage. You don't have to be a shinobi of Konoha. But rather, you could buy your way to the seat. I barely got enough money to live off of." "You fool, you can undo the seal. Kakashi obvious left you instructions how. Once you do, you need to create an alliance of shinobis that will fight for you." "No one will fight for me. You've made allies in your short shinobi career. All you got to do is just tell them what's been done to you and that you wish to form an alliance with them." "That could work, but how will that help me become Hokage? Doing missions with these allies and have them cut ties with Konoha. Most of these alliances are your responsibility. You created them, You can destroy them. Sounds good. I think it's worth a shot. Naruto said. Someone is coming. Naruto turns around and his eyes open wide as he recognizes a figure wearing a black cloak with red clouds wearing a conical straw hat. It's been a while, Naruto-kun. The unmistakable voice of Uchiha Itachi said. Akatsuki had found him. Chapter 02. Alien Plots. Itachi stood there and Naruto eyed him carefully, looking into Itachi's Sharingan. Aren't you going to run, Naruto-kun? Itachi asks after several moments of silence. I can no longer use chakra, it's been sealed by the elders. So running is pointless and I know I can't beat you even if I try to fight. Naruto relied. I see, Itachi said calmly. Aren't you going to capture me? Naruto said. No, I am no longer a member of Akatsuki. I have defected. The leader was most displeased. Itachi said. So what happens now? Naruto asks. I know someone who can remove the seal, and, should you wish it, I will teach you all you need to know about being a shinobi. Why? Naruto asks. Because, the Konoha I once protected, no longer exist. What do you mean? It's a long story, but first we must move. Akatsuki knows of your banishment and are looking for you. I suspect the elders place a self-detonate curse seal on you to explode if you have the Kyuubi's chakra extracted from you. It's why they sealed your chakra. So Akatsuki can only take the Kyuubi's chakra and not yours. Itachi explained. How do you know this? They contacted me, offering the Kyuubi in return I leave Konoha alone and leave them alone. I suspect they were trying to kill me with that curse seal of theirs. It's not the first time they've used such methods on their enemies. The Foundation or Root, as you may know them, are well known for having this seal on their bodies when they die. Can you remove it? Naruto asks in concern. In a way, he felt defenseless and naked without the ability to mold and use chakra. Yes, but it will take time, and time on the road is something we don't have. We will go to an ally of mine, in a ghost town where no one will look for us. There I will remove the seals they have placed upon you, Itachi said as he began to walk down the road. Naruto followed him knowing he didn't have much of a choice. Itachi was much stronger and experienced than he was and Itachi could have just knocked him out and taken him anywhere. It took about an hour. But they reach a ghost town and walked in it. What is this place? Naruto asks. This used to be the Uchiha compound before the founding of Konoha. This way, Sasuke replied as he enters a abandoned tunnel. They walk in with very little light until Naruto heard something behind him. If it isn't Itachi, a talking cat, Naruto said out loud. Denka and Hina. Good to see you both, I have come to seek the wisdom of Nekoba. Itachi said calmly. I've never seen a talking cat before. Toads I've seen before, but not cats. Naruto said calmly. They're nin cats. Don't play with them or you'll end up as a scratching post. Itachi warned. Did you bring us a gift, Itachi? The cats said. Itachi pulled out 2 fish and tosses them at the nin cats. Follow us, the cats said as they walked down the tunnel. After some time, they finally reach a large room where there was light. An old woman who looked part cat herself was sitting down smoking a pipe. Nekoba, I have come seeking your assistance. Itachi said. Itachi, why have you come here after what you pulled? Nekoba said. Itachi looked down as if he was sad. You know what have happened if the Uchihas revolted. I know. Still it was a noble thing. But it was a terrible thing. To slaughter your entire clan of Konoha to prevent civil war. Nekoba said. Has Sasuke come by? Itachi asks. No, he hasn't. If he does, do not mention the massacre or the truth to him. It's best if he doesn't know. I know. However, you might find this piece of news interesting. There are other Uchihas alive. Those not a part of Konoha. What? Itachi said in surprise. Yes. Imagine my surprise when they came here and bought some supplies and information. They left just a day ago. Nekoba said. Hey grandma, I got your groceries as well as the cat food you wanted. Tamaki, we have visitors. Nekoba said. Itachi, what are you doing here? I need the sealing room. What's going on? Chakra restraining seal and a self-detonate curse seal place on this young man. His name is Uzumaki Naruto. Nekoba eyes open wide. So, you're Kushina's Gaki. Makoto used to talk about you. Who? My mother. Itachi said as he closes his eyes. Who's Kushina? Naruto asks. Uzumaki Kushina, known as the Shinku no Mwa, Crimson Fury, was a high-level Jonin-level kunoichi and the wife of the Yondaime Hokage. Are they? Naruto said as tears build up in his eyes. Your parents? Yes, I met them once and they were great people. You didn't know? Nekoba said in surprise. I never knew anything about my past other than my name was Uzumaki. Naruto and I was the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko about 6 months ago. Naruto said as he rubbed his face to wipe the tears from falling down. I will tell you more one day when you are ready, but until then. Let's get those seals off of you. Naruto fell unconscious after the remove of the seals. He woke up to see Itachi putting on a new outfit. The Uchiha clan symbol was large on his back as he put on a black kimono shinobi outfit. Naruto, I got you some new clothes. I would advise you put them on as we are leaving soon. Itachi said. They're black. What's wrong with my jumpsuit? Naruto said in a disappointed voice. He's joking, right? Tamaki said as she laid out some shinobi gear and weapons. 2 black conical straw hats were laid out as well as black cloaks with no markings. Naruto, if you are going to be a shinobi, then you must learn the basics. A shinobi is one who operatives using the shadows. An orange jumpsuit does not scream, shinobi, it says, here I am, kill me. Itachi said calmly. Sorry, it's the only thing the village would let me buy. I was never able to get proper shinobi gear. Naruto said in a sad voice. Well, now you're getting good gear. Tachi said as he put on some Anbu-like gauntlets and shin guards on. Naruto put on his new clothes and quickly spotted something that caught his eye. He walks over and picks up a ninja sword and looks at the blade. Wait a minute, that's a masterpiece. It made from a special ore that allows one to manipulate chakra through it. It's not something an amateur should wield. Tamaki said in protest as the silver-white blade reflected at Naruto's face. Tamaki, let the boy have it. Itachi can teach him how to wield it. Nekoba said. Itachi picks up 2 chakra blades and straps them on his back. Naruto grabs some ribbon and ties both ends of the sheath and throws it around his chest so the sword was hanging off his right side. Itachi throws the cloak over him and puts on the conical hat. Naruto puts on his cloak and conical hat. Let's go, Uzumaki Naruto. We have a long journey ahead of us. Do you have a plan? Naruto asks. He couldn't explain it, but he felt as if he could trust Itachi. A shinobi must always have a plan. A shinobi without a plan is a dead shinobi. Itachi said in a serious tone of voice. They thanked Tamaki and Nekoba and leave the abandoned compound and headed west. Where are we going? Naruto asks. Takigakuru, Hidden Waterfall Village. I understand you have a friend who is the current head there. Yeah, but that's good. We will hide in Takigakuru for some time and I will teach you how to be a shinobi. Itachi said as the two of them walked into the shadows of the forest. Unknown location. 8-figure appeared like an illusion inside an abandoned cave. The last time we gathered all together was when Orochimaru left us 7 years ago. Kakuzu said. Speaking of the Sharingan, Orochimaru has Uchiha Sasuke under his wing, Deidara said. Itachi's little brother, Uchiha Sasori said. Now Itachi has left us and disappeared without a trace. Zetsu said. Don't worry about Itachi. We'll deal with him and Orochimaru when the time is right. Deidara said. Orochimaru and Konoha are preparing for war. Pain said. Also the legendary Sannin, Tsunade is now the Godime Hokage and Jiraiya is serving as her personal advisor. Conan said. There's more. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki has vanished. I cannot find him. Zetsu says in annoyance. Didn't the Kyuubi Jinchuriki get banished from Konoha? Kisame said. It could be a trap to lure us in the open. Konoha could be shadowing him in an attempt to get to us. Sasori said. It doesn't fit Jiraiya's style. Most likely he would try to stay near the boy as much as possible. No, this is the work of Danzo. Conan said. Agreed, most likely they were hoping to take us out by luring the Kyuubi in the open. Pain said. But I cannot find him, his chakra has vanished from my senses. Zetsu said. Either he has his chakra block, or someone is shielding him in a barrier. Where was his last location? Pain asks. Konoha. It matters not. Soon we will resurrect Uchiha Madara and then, the world will be ours. And not even Itachi, Orochimaru, Konoha or even the Kyuubi can stop us. The leader said, a man with a Sharingan right eye and a Rinnegan left eye. That's nothing can stop us. Pain said, his Rinnegan said blazing in the dark cave. What should we do? Orochimaru is moving much faster than we anticipated. Zetsu asks. Konoha will no doubt try to keep Orochimaru in check. This means war between the leaf and sound. Zetsu, can you infiltrate the sound and Konoha to leak information on both each other's whereabouts? Force Orochimaru and Konoha to go to war. The leader said. It wasn't a question and they knew it. Child's play. Dark Zetsu said. What of the Jinchurikis? We cannot turn Uchiha Madara into a god if we cannot locate all the bijus. Kakuzu said. For the time being we will remain in the shadows and collect information. At the same time we will try to push the great shinobi nations into open warfare, try to weaken them greatly before we declare war on them. Do not forget our purpose. The leader said. That's right, our goal, our dream, our ambition, to control everything, for Uchiha Madara. Pain said. The only way to secure absolute victory is to force the hidden villages to fight each other in a great shinobi war. If that happens then we could offer our services for cheap and get intel on the shinobi villages and Jinchurikis faster that way. Conan said. Not a bad idea. That old fool Onoki likes to hire us. We could manipulate him into weaken Iwagakure, Hidden Stone Village, and have their shinobis fight Sunagakure, Hidden Sand Village shinobis. Deidara said. That would be tricky. Kakuzu said. There is more news. Many countries are beginning to withdraw their alliance and support to Konoha after the banishment of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Zetsu said. A war might not be need after all. If Konoha doesn't get fresh supplies, they will be able to hold out but weaken their shinobi force for about 10 years on just the land of fire supplies. The leader said. Konoha is a center trade route and depends greatly on imported goods from surrounding countries for their economy. Kakuzu replies. Konoha is going to collapse unless a country opens its ports and trade with them. It seems the Kyuubi brat has given us a blessing in disguise. Sasori said. The Kyuubi brat is merely a pawn for my amusement. He's hardly a threat to us and without Jiraiya to protect him, he's going to be easy pickings for us to capture. The leader said. Spread out and see what information you can find. See to it that you can start wars between nations and hidden villages. Also, be wary of Jiraiya's spy network. They're onto us and no doubt will be looking for any information on any of us. Pain said. Jiraiya will be trouble. The only people who stands a chance of defeated the great Gama Sennin, Toad Sage Ninja, as you Pain, and the leader. I like you better when you're quiet and not ranting about that god of yours. Kakuzu said. That's enough. The leader said. You all know your assignments. Vanish like the night wind and all 9 Jinchurikis that you can. The leader said. What do we know? Pain said. The Kyuubi has gone missing. He was last sent and seen in Konoha. However, our intel says he's not good at hiding and he will reveal himself soon to us. However, we must capture him last. Zetsu said. The Hachibi and Nibi are in Kumogakure. We know they are sealed in Jinchurikis. Who they are, we do not know yet. Kakuzu says. The Yonbi and Gobi are rogue shinobis from Iwagakure. Deidara replies. Kurigakure has lost their current Jinchuriki and the Sanbi has vanished somewhere in the ocean. Find both of them will be difficult as finding the Jinchurikis of Iwagakure. Kisame said. Sunagakure has just appointed the Ikibi Jinchuriki as the Godime Cage. Getting to him will be difficult. Sasori replies. The Nanabi location is unknown. We don't know if it's sealed or hiding somewhere. We need to find more intel on it. Conan said. Then, let's get to work. The leader said and everyone vanished from the cave leaving no trace that Akatsuki was there. Chapter 03. The Dark Coalition. You cannot cancel Genjutsu, Itachi said as he dispels the Genjutsu on Naruto. It was a simple one, but Naruto was unable to break free. Naruto was on the ground panting. The young 12-year-old felt as if he had run to water country and back. I was never taught how to cancel Genjutsu. Though I want to learn. I understand it can be useful at times. Plus I want to be a Genjutsu master. Itachi said nothing but looks at Naruto with his Sharingan. Naruto, do you know why I chose to train you here? Itachi said, because Shibuki is my friend. Naruto said, Shibuki is taking great risk by offering us refuge. However, I didn't just choose Takigakure, Hidden Waterfall Village, because he was your closest ally. I chose this place because of the barrier that protects Takigakure. Why is that so important? Naruto asks. Let me explain. Akatsuki has a member that is a very powerful sensor type. He can sense anyone's chakra and find their location quickly, not to mention, he can cross fire country in a day. I know very little about him, but I believe him to be artificial made from Mokuden ninjutsu. Would release. Why are Akatsuki after the Kyuubi? Naruto asks. I do not know. The only thing I was made aware was that they were after world domination and needed to capture all 9 bijus. However, I'm afraid the leader was only telling us half of what he was after. Itachi said. Then what do you know? Naruto asks. For some reason they want the bijus to use against the hidden villages and they want to resurrect Uchiha Madara. Who is Uchiha Madara? Naruto asks. Uchiha Madara was for a period, the leader of the Uchiha clan before the foundation of Konoha. He helped build Konoha after he was defeated by the Senju Hashirama and he built Konoha with the Senju clan. A year after he helped build the village, he left the village after he had a disagreement with the Shodaime Hokage. He then was defeated at the Valley of End by the Shodaime Hokage. It was said he was defeated and killed by the Shodaime Hokage. However, the leader of Akatsuki let slip that Madara may have somehow survived. I have my theories but no proof. How strong was he? Naruto asks after a few moments of silence. It is said only the Shodaime Hokage had the power to defeat him. He was considered even in history, to be the greatest Uchiha to have ever lived. He is the only Uchiha that was able to control the Kyuubi. That's what I originally thought. The leader, Naruto said in a small voice. That's right, he can use the Sharingan like the stories have been told as a kid. Naruto. Itachi. The daimos have arrived. Shibuki said as he walked up them with his Anbu bodyguards. Thank you. Konohagakure, Hidden Leaf Village. Tsunade was sitting behind her desk filling out her paperwork. However, her mind was more concerned about Naruto and where he was. She was even more frustrated when the fire daimyo came to her and blamed for the downfall in Konoha's and the Land of Fire's economy. It has been almost 6 months since Naruto's banishment and the news of it traveled around the shinobi world. It got worse. The Sandaime Hokage reign was friendly towards his neighbor ring nations and even helped some countries that were far away when other villages couldn't. However, Naruto had done a lot in these countries, particularly when he overthrew a tyrant in Yuki no Kuni Snow Country and had the rightful heir and princess, Kazuhana Koyuki, sit on the throne. She was furious and closed all trade routes to Konoha and to the Land of Fire. What was bad was Konoha and the Land of Fire was seeking to perform trades with anyone. Kaharu and Homura suggested turning to the black market until the economy could return. What was worse was the fire daimyo cut funding for her shinobi force and gave Danzo a fat check and the authority to recreate his special Anbu commando unit, the Na route, or better known as the Foundation. Danzo had a large smile on his face as more power was handed to him and she was stripped of her authority to command her shinobis without the approval of the council. Tsunade couldn't shake the feeling that Danzo was controlling the daimyo somehow. However, she had no proof. There was only 2 ways Danzo was doing it. Either through some sort of blackmail. Or worse, Danzo had the daimyo under a genjutsu. That made things worse because Danzo was breaking the law. But she couldn't ask a Hyuga to break the law just to confirm if the daimyo was under a genjutsu. Naruto's banishment was mixed with some feelings. When Sakura found out the Ubi was sealed in him, she followed her parents' example and destroyed what was left of Naruto's existence in Konoha. Kakashi had become withdrawn from most of his peers and spent most of his time looking at the memorial stone. Tsunade knew he could feel the eyes of Obito and his sensei Namikaze Minato on him. The civilian council broke the Sandaime Hokage's law and revealed Naruto was the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki and was sealed by the Yondaime Hokage. They blame Naruto for the death of the Yondaime Hokage and the countless shinobis that perish against the Kyuubi's attack on Konoha. Tsunade snapped, but instead of strangling the council, she released Naruto's heritage and revealed who his parents were. The council was in denial and refused to accept Naruto was the son of the Yondaime Hokage. Nearly half the village was supporting the civilian council, but the shinobis were supporting the Godime Hokage. Almost all of them. Some were still hated Naruto because he held the Kyuubi inside of him. Things were not going well for Konoha. Right now food and supplies were not a problem, but Tsunade knew that without another country to trade their raw goods, Konoha and the Land of Fire would dry up in a few years of food. The shinobi would last longer than the civilians, but the true problem would be coming if no country was willing to open their doors to them. Tsunade remembered just 2 months ago, when the Godime Kazekage Sabaku no Gaara, Fifth Wind Shadow Gaara of the desert, sent a letter to Konoha withdrawing their alliance from Konoha and place an embargo on them, preventing them from entering Wind Country. Even though the letter didn't show it, but Tsunade knew Sabaku no Gaara was angry. The Civilian Council and Village Shinobi Council didn't think much about Sungakur, Hidden Sand v. Illage withdraw about their alliance between the two countries. They merely saw it as a waste of time and money. However, Tsunade and the Shinobi Council made up of the Jonin commander Nara Shikamaru and the Anbu commander Terai both knew it was a devastating blow to Konoha's credibility. Sure enough, when Suna withdrew, other countries soon followed. Tori no Kuni, Bird Country, Damo Toki was angry at Naruto's banishment. She withdrew all her support to the Land of Fire and Konoha. This was a devastating blow, as Tori no Kuni held a vast amount of wealth that rival a great nation. Tsunade attempt to save the relationship between the two, but Toki refused to hear Konoha's plea and said she would only speak to Naruto. The council called her a demon lover, and that put an end to the two countries' relationship. Tsuki no Kuni, Land of the Moon, was next, and they expressed their outrage by closing all their shipments and port to anyone residing in Konoha and the Land of Fire. This was another serious blow as to Konoha, as Tsuki no Kuni was the second strongest sea traders next to Muzi no Kuni, Water Country. It also didn't help that Nami no Kuni, Wave Country, quickly stop all shipments to Ards Konoha once they learned that the hero who saved them from Gato and his reign of terror. This created a problem as Nami no Kuni held one of the largest international shipping port on the elemental countries. Tsunade sent Kakashi to speak to their daimyo, but he was unwelcome. With the goods they managed to sell, the people of Nami no Kuni hired samurai to protect them. Tsunade knew this was a problem, as even a highly experienced jonin would have a trouble against a full-trained samurai. Tokigakure withdrew their support and claimed they cannot support a shinobi village that was predigest and banish its heroes without cause. This was the biggest blow to Konoha. In less than 6 months, Konoha lost all its allies. While the Citizen Council wasn't concerned and claimed they were better off not looking after weak allies, the Shinobi Council was worried. Even the old farts who called themselves elders showed signs of concern. Tsunade Haim, Jiraiya said as he appeared by the window. This bro. Tsunade out of her thoughts as she turns to the longtime pervert, comrade and perhaps her closest friend alive. Jiraiya, what's going on? Why can't you use the door like a normal person? Tsunade said, we got trouble. Orochimaru is having a secret meeting with some village leaders. I think he's planning an alliance with them. Who? Tsunade said at once. Hoshigakure, Hidden Star Village K. Usagakure, Hidden Grass Village, Jome no Seda, Village of Keys Moyagakure, Hidden Haze Village Soragakure, Hidden Sky Village Umegakure, Hidden Dream Village, and Kigakure, Hidden Tree Village. Jiraiya said, why so many hidden villages? Do you know what he wants? Tsunade demanded. Most likely he's trying to assemble his own army. I'm trying to find out just how strong his shinobis are. But it's clear he has his sights set on Konoha. Jiraiya said in a serious tone. Talk about bad timing. We just lost all our allies and morale is at an all-time low with the trade routes block on our country. Tsunade said as she realized that Orochimaru might actually defeated them with the forces he's assembled. Talk about bad timing. We have no allies. Kumogakure, Hidden Cloud Village, is increasing its military strength. Iwagakure, Hidden Stone Village, is looking for a reason to attack us, and Kurigakure, Hidden Mist Village, has closed its borders and only allows a few nations to travel to and trade with it. Sunagakure, Hidden Sand Village, won't help us, they've basically turned their backs on us. Jiraiya said, I'll call an emergency council meeting to get our shinobis ready. Tsunade said, I'll go out and see if I can get more information. Jiraiya said as he shunshin, body flicker, away. Tsunade grabs her sake and drinks straight from the bottle, not even bothering to pour it down her cup. Otogakure. Hidden base. Orochimaru sat at the head of the table where 8 leaders of small but powerful hidden villages that all hated Konoha with a passion. Almost as much as he did. Yakushi Kabuto, the young 19-year-old medic, was standing behind him on his right-hand side. The one thing Orochimaru liked about the young man was that he was loyal and devoted. Not to Menti, on the perfect spy and as strong as Hatake Kakashi. He had others under his command who were high Jonin level, but Kabuto was his best. Orochimaru eyed the first individual, the Yondaime Hoshige Jakashoshi. A title he thought was an attempt for Hoshigakure, Hidden Star Village, to say there were as strong as the great nations. Orochimaru knew Akahoshi was ambitions and power hungry. It's why he came. However, while he may be a treacherous bastard, even he wouldn't dare challenge Orochimaru for the position of power. He knew his place well. However, Orochimaru knew he was a shinobi, and a shinobi always looks for the best opportunity to strike once they see a weakness. The next person was a 40-year-old Haijonin from Kusagakure, Hidden Grass Village, named Mui, and his son Muku, a newly promoted Anbu of Kusagakure. Both desire power and respect in the shinobi world. They've even gone so far as to steal other jutsus from Hidden Village by keeping a prison there. Orochimaru had plans for that prison. Plans that made his lips smile. He knew of Mui and Muku's experiments and their desire to create the ultimate jutsu. Such plans would go well for his plan to destroy Konoha before turning to the rest of the world. However, Kusagakure had one problem. They were currently locked in a civil war. Orochimaru knew if he got Kusagakure support, then he would have to help end the civil war quickly. Orochimaru turned his attention to the mysterious key master of the Hidden Lock Village from the Land of Keys. They are not well-known fighters, but they are excellent spies and infiltrators. Not to mention they were masters at torture and integration. Information was their game, and they mastered it. If only Jiraiya could have a spy network as successful as Hidden Lock Village. It didn't matter. Counterintelligence was also one of their specialties. Orochimaru's eyes turns to the attention of another mysterious figure, the elusive Jonin of Moyojikure, Haze Village. The Haze Village were experts at stealth and guerrilla warfare tactics. Not as strong as Omegakure, Hidden Rain Village, Kusagakure, Hidden Grass Village, or Takigakure, Hidden Waterfall Village, they nonetheless aided Konoha since its foundation and fought against them 3 times in the Great War. Tsunade didn't like them as it was a Moyojikure shinobis who killed her beloved brother. Them joining his Koli, Chion would cause an emotional wreck in Tsunade, which was an added bonus to the destruction of Konoha. Next he turned to the man sitting on his left. His sensei at one time who taught him Kinjutsu, Forbi, D-Den techniques, and the current leader of remnants of Sorogakure, Hidden Sky Village, and a medical ninja. That was better than Kabuto and if possible could rival Tsunade. The man like Orochimaru was seeking a way for immortality. It was Shino who approached Orochimaru for an alliance to take down Konoha. However, thanks to his invitation and goal, Orochimaru decided to invite others who hated Konoha. Next was Tenro Enzo, a man who hated Konoha deeply. He was the leader of the Umegakure, Hidden Dream Village, and the best part was, their shinobis were skilled in genjutsu that rivaled the famed Kurama clan of Konoha. There was no question he would be jumping at a possible alliance. However, Orochimaru knew he had to be careful and not appear desperate. The last to join them was the legenda, Rai Anbu from Kigakure, Hidden Tree Village, and they had a long history against Konoha Anbu. The Hanya Black Ops of the woods. The sound of a light object striking the ground could be heard in every. One turned to Shimura Danzo and 2 of his Root Anbu bodyguards walking towards them. He took his seat across from Orochimaru, causing the snake Sanin to smile. "Welcome, my friends. I was hoping the Tsuchikage or Raikage would join us. But they have refused to meet with me," Orochimaru said in a false disappointed voice. "It matters not. Once Jiraiya and Tsunade are dead, all of Konoha, no all of Fire Country will be ours." Danzo said, "Can you get any of Tsunade's techniques and knowledge on her medical ninjutsu, Danzo?" Orochimaru asks, "I'm blocking her every attempt at investing certain rs because they won't do well for our plans. However, I do have some good news," Danzo said as he gave a sly smile. Everyone turned to him and he smiled. "Homura, Kaharu and I now have the power to control where the shinobis are sent. They couldn't come as they are keeping Tsunade off my back. Danzo said. Orochimaru began to chuckle and Kabuto smiled as he pushes up his oval glasses. Excellent. I was hoping for Konoha shinobis to be eliminated during the invasion at the Chunin exams, however, I never suspected Sarutobi-sensei to use a kinjutsu. Orochimaru said. How bad is Konoha? Mui asks. All our allies left and what treaties we had with neighboring nations became void. Danzo said without a care in world. Danzo-sama, if I may ask, are you not worried? Kabuto said. Once Tsunade is gone and all those who follow her will of fire, I will create a Konoha where the shinobis truly understand what it means to be a shinobi and not some peace-loving fool like Sarutobi was. Then, IWILL destroy all those who turn their backs on their master. Danzo said. Why couldn't you come Hokage Danzo? Mui asks with a frown. It would make the Dark Coalition plans go much smoother. The Daimyo favored Jiraiya's opinion more than mine. You could say, by banishing the Kyuubi we weaken Konoha. Now, they cannot hope to survive a war right now. Right now, Jiraiya suspects something, but, Danzo said with another sly smile. He thinks this is a meeting with other hidden villages in an attempt to forge an alliance. He doesn't know that we've all been allies for more than 5 years. Sarutobi-sensei and Jiraiya are both idiots and naive. Orochimaru said. What of Akatsuki? Akahoshi said with a worried frown. The leader found me and I offer him a truce. What did you offer him? Shino asks in a worried tone. Nothing much, just the promise to locate a Biju or Jinchuriki for him. I had tried to offer Akatsuki the Kyuubi but the brat disappeared without a trace. Hitaki Kakashi, place my root agents under a genjutsu before he escorted the demon out of the village. How long till we are ready to begin the war? Orochimaru asks. I still got a civil war to deal with, I'm going to need help putting them down. Mui said. I'll send what shinobis I can to subdue the rebels who have turned against your rule. Orochimaru said. We all should. Then build up our forces. Killing the Kusa grass rebels will be good practice, before we kill Konoha. Orochimaru said. So we are in agreement. In 3 years the war will begin. Danzo said in a calm tone. He could feel his blood beginning to boil with excitement. This is what a true shinobi craved for, not peace but war and bloodshed. Yes, the time has come, for Konoha to burn. For they will not survive the 4th Great Shinobi War. Orochimaru said as he begins to laugh. There is one thing we must do to gain favor with Akatsuki. Danzo said causing Orochimaru to stop laughing. What's that? We must kill Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi huh? That will be no easy task. His brother wants vengeance. Kabuto said. My sources claim that Itachi has defected from Akatsuki. He may know of our coalition. If he warns Kono, then all our carefully planning will be for nothing. Danzo said in a serious tone of voice. Then we must be cautious. Have your root agents keep a close eye on the Hokage. It may be our best bet to know how to defeat Tsunade. Orochimaru said. The light burnout and last everyone saw before the darkness took over was Orochimaru's glowing yellow snake-like eyes. Chapter 04. A Mind of Shadows. Deep in the hidden base of Orochimaru. The fires barely light the corridors but that didn't stop a young man with red eyes walking down the dark corridor. He didn't stop walking until he saw what he was looking for. A tall man with black eye and yellow snake-like eyes. I thought you were going to train me. Sasuke said in annoyance the moment Orochimaru was back from the Dark Coalition meeting. Akimaru frowns at the boy's lack of respect but he smiled knowing that wonderful and powerful body of the Uchiha would soon be his. He just had to wait. Patience Sasuke-kun, first we need to improve your stamina and endurance. Kimimaro. Orochimaru called out. From behind Orochimaru, Kimimaro walked out the shadows and knelt before his master. You summoned me, Orochimaru-sama. Kimimaro said. Yes, I want you to train Sasuke-kun in taijutsu. He's not strong enough. Orochimaru said knowing it would motive Sasuke to train harder. Sure enough, Sasuke narrowed his eyes and it filled with rage. The mature Sharingan with 3 tomos seemed to glow in the darkness with fury. Understood Orochimaru-sama. Kimimaro walks away with Sasuke following him. Orochimaru stood there smiling. knowing Sasuke would grow into the perfect host. Orochimaru-sama, I've gathered all the lieutenants you've requested, Kabuto said as a group of shinobis walked up and kneeled before him. As they should. Kasumi Haim, Princess Kasumi, Hazuka Suigetsu, Karen, Gurren, Amachi, I have a task for all of you. Amachi, you will be working under Kabuto to prefect the Curse Seal Level 2. I want an army of them to be ready in 3 years. Karen, I have a mission for you. I want you to find my old friend, Hirako. Once we go to war, his skills will be needed as well as his knowledge. Orochimaru said as the two bow and took off immediately. Gurren, I want you to train our most loyal soldiers and turn them into a fierce army that will be ready to march in 3 years. As for you Suigetsu, I will be letting you take command of a special underwater unit I have created to attack several ports in the Land of Fire. Leave no survivors, Orochimaru said. Okay, Orochimaru-sama, Suigetsu said as he gives his shark-tooth grin. Everyone was gone and Orochimaru stood there slightly amused. We may have a problem, Orochimaru. Danzo said as he appeared from the shadows behind Orochimaru. What is it? Orochimaru asks, not really caring. Tsunade has discovered one of my medical Anbu operatives spying and stealing from her private storage. Right now my agents have managed hid her, but she cannot stay in Konoha. I would like for her to stay with you and she can help train your Anbu unit. That's acceptable, as long as she doesn't get in my way, or I may kill her. Orochimaru said, it doesn't matter, she will either succeed in her mission, or die for her failure. Danzo said calmly. Sasuke received a kick in the gut and skid backwards until he stopped and started panting. Kimimaro was stronger than he suspected. Orochimaru didn't remove the curse seal on his neck, but he did place a curse seal counter on it to prevent Sasuke from using it. This meant he wasn't as strong as he was when he fought Naruto. Naruto. His mind turned to the blonde for a moment and wondered where the idiot had gotten so much power. The only good news that came out of that fight was that he fully matured his Sharingan. He could have. No, he should have killed Naruto when he was at his mercy. He needed the power to kill his brother. He needed to have the Mangekyo Sharingan. He needed to become stronger than his brother. However, a small part of him warned him that he cannot become like Itachi and be seduced by power. You're distracted. Focus, or you will face defeat, Kimimaro said, breaking Sasuke's thoughts. Sasuke charged at Kimimaro in the Goken strong fist form and tried to land a hit. It frustrated Sasuke to no end that a guy with only bones for a bloodline could evade him and his Sharingan with little ease. No, I'm not done, I will not lose again, Sasuke shouted as he attacks Kimimaro. Orochimaru was surprised when Kimimaro survived the fight against Sabaku no Gaara and Rock Lee. Both were not easy opponents. Kimimaro began to train harder than ever to have his revenge against Sabaku no Gaara. However, unlike Sasuke who let his emotions rule his judgment, Kimimaro knew better than to put his personal feelings before his duty. The only reason why Kimimaro was able to survive was because his heartbeat had not stopped completely. Kabuto was able to tell right away, though it was no doubt thanks to the RK medical ninjutsu of Shinobu picked him before Konoha Anbu could collected his body. Orochimaru was slightly jealous of Shino's talents with his medical ninjutsu and Yomi Tensei Dark Restoratio. And that could bring a person back to life that died only moments before. The more Orochimaru thought about his former sensei, the more he realized the two of them was on the same coin just on different ends. Orochimaru turned his thoughts to the other members of the Sound Five. They perish in battle against mere genins. This told Orochimaru something valuable, Konoha still had strength, and there is still courage. Even a strong morale, almost like a will of some kind. This meant he had to plan these next 3 years carefully. He had seals in place all over his base to prevent sensors and even the Byakugan couldn't see inside his base. However, something was causing him concern. He knew Danzo wasn't being truthful about Uchiha Itachi and that made him worried. That meant Itachi was blackmailing Danzo, Homura and Kaharu. However, that meant that it must be big, even bigger than he originally thought if Danzo approached him after he left Akatsuki to create an alliance with him. Danzo, the one person who was perhaps even dirtier and more cunning than he was. The best thing they had in common was they had a bloodlust for battles. Orochimaru. A voice said behind, and the snake Sanin too. RNS to see a Sharingan and Rinnegan looking at him. Tatsugeki-sama, Lord Onslaught, Orochimaru said with a worried tone. Although the man's face wasn't showing due to the darkness of the shadow he was in. Orochimaru was no the less worried. He knew he didn't stand a chance against him no matter how hard he tried to fight him. You'll ask for a dozen clones of Zetsu. My question is, how did you know about Zetsu being a clone? Tatsugeki demanded. Orochimaru smirked, but he was trying to keep a straight face. I've done experience with the Shodaime Hokage's Mokuten ninjutsu, so I can recognize a clone of Senju Hashirama just by looking at one. I see. What will you give Akatsuki in return? Tatsugeki demanded in a cold tone of voice. I found a boy who can find Jinchuriki. You are after them, are you not? I will send my men to hunt them down and give them to you. Interesting. I wasn't made aware of such a child existed. Very well. I will give you a Zetsu, one for now. However, if you betray me, then you will suffer in the Akumu Jigen nightmare realm for all eternity. Understood. Tatsugeki disappeared, and Orochimaru wondered when he was going to get a Zetsu clone, when a white bee Adi drop in front of him of an incomplete clone. Kabuto, we changing bases, we're going to Kusugaker hideout. Orochimaru said to his second in command. It has been 6 months, 6 long months, and Itachi made a startling discovery. Naruto had more seals place on him. He immediately knew it was Danzo's doing. He discovered a chakra restraining seal which worked a lot like the chakra suppressor seal. Only that it made controlling one's chakra nearly impossible. He found a mind alternating seal which controlled the mind of an individual, could extract intelligence from by being near the individual and preforming the seals. It also allowed the individual to place under a genjutsu very easy without the person realizing it. The third seal was the most disturbing. It stopped personal growth and limited the intelligence of the individual. It suddenly dawned upon Itachi why Danzo took Uchiha Shisui's Sharinganai and why he attempted to collected both of them. Danzo was using Naruto as a personal spy and going to use him as a scapegoat to release the Kyuubi in the middle of Konoha, and he would fight it and defeat it to win the people's approval so he could be Hokage. Itachi also knew that Danzo couldn't have down these seals on his. He wasn't skilled enough. It was a miracle that Itachi's Sharingan spotted the seals hidden in Naruto's head. That meant he approached someone who was skilled at making cursed seals. Orochimaru. If Danzo was working with Orochimaru, then it could spell trouble for Konoha. Both men were obsessed with gaining the position Hokage. Orochimaru may have given up on it and moved on when he created his own village, but Danzo remained behind in Konoha and even offered to help hunt down Orochimaru. Normally this would not seem odd to the village, but Edic. I was a talented and a skilled shinobi who was not called a genius for nothing. Mostly likely Danzo offered was to allow Orochimaru to roam free and to secretly pass information to Orochimaru on the village. This made Itachi wonder just how far the man would go to become Hokage. Itachi knew he couldn't remove the seals. He could seek out Jiraiya-sama. However, that was a problem. It would mean going to Konoha. He doubted he would be able to find Jiraiya-sama in Konoha. It also put him at risk fighting Konoha shinobis, and he was done fighting pointless battles. The other was to seek an Uzumaki. The Ri were masters of seals and could remove any seal before one could blink. That, however, was a problem in of itself. The Uzumaki clan was scattered. They vanished from the elemental continent nearly 20 years ago when their home Uzushiogakure, Hidden Whirlpool Village, was destroyed by Kumogakure, Hidden Cloud Village, and Kurigakure, Hidden Mist Village. One opinion, though he would never do it, was to seek Pain of Akatsuki. Pain was an Fuinjutsu, sealing technique master. However, that would be like handing Naruto over to Akatsuki and just giving the Kyuubi over to them on a silver platter. Itachi remembered hearing a rumor on the other side of the sea, past Kurigakure. In the uncharted lands of the demons. Itachi knew it was ruled by samurai on that side, not shinobis. Meaning he was going to be unwelcome. However, he knew about a priestess who was gifted in seals and was considered by many a master despite her young age. Such a trait was not found commonly outside the Uzumakis. Itachi also knew by going to Demon Country, he would be far from Anbu and Konoha, meaning Naruto would be safe from any outside influence. However, to be safe, Itachi, Naruto said, Naruto said no more. Itachi's Sharingan turned into a wheel and Naruto was placed under his genjutsu. We're going to the land of demons, Itachi said. Chapter 05. Inheritance of Asura. Itachi and Naruto were walking. It has been 2 weeks since they made it to the other side in the land of honey. The good news was Naruto no longer under Itachi's genjutsu. The better news was that there were no shinobi villages on this side of the continent. The bad news, Naruto was angry at Itachi for putting him under a genjutsu in the first place. They walked in silence. Itachi was unsure if Naruto was in the bingo book yet, but they kept their black conical hats low and walked through the lands. They said nothing as they headed towards Oni no Kuni, demon country, and walked past some civilians who eyed them suspiciously. Konoha. Tsunade leans back in her chair was thinking about the upcoming war. While the fat pigs of the civilian council merely laugh at her for suggesting to prepare for war, Kaharu and Homura Merrill Y stated there hasn't been any aggression from these villages to Konoha, so there was no need to panic. In the end, Tsunade felt like she was banging her head against the wall. She even wondered why she stayed. The truth was simple: to honor Naruto. There were still good people in Konoha, and her grandfather would not look her in the eye if she abandoned Konoha and tossed aside the will of fire. However, she knew Danzo and the 2 elder council members were up to something. Something in her gut was telling her that they should not be trusted. Danzo had disappeared from the village for months and he was taking care of some business before he retreated into the underground headquarters of the Foundation. Jiraiya has also been gone for a long time. He would have sent a message by now, unless... Tsunade's eyes opened wide when she looked out the window and narrowed her eyes as she was scanning the village. She was under surveillance, and not by her Anbu. It seemed for some reason Danzo had his agents keeping a close eye on her. Tsunade was not stupid. She had a higher IQ than the 3 farts, and knew at once, even though there was no proof, they were in league with Orochimaru. This made her very nervous, yet the more she thought about it, the more it made sense to her. Orochimaru was able to penetrate both Konoha's new security defense system when it was only a year old with remarkable ease. That meant someone with a position of authority had access to the defense layout and gave them to Orochimaru. She also remembered hearing about how only 2 Anbu squads were patrolling the areas that got the most damage. The rest were put on administration leave. It took Konoha nearly an hour to mobilize a proper defense. It was by luck that Jiraiya was in the village. She knew at once. Jiraiya's presence and skills gave Konoha the morale and defense it needed to counterattack. Then came the question of Tsunade. That was a tougher question. Jiraiya did tell her that Orochimaru used to belong to Akatsuki. Even though he left, he could have kept in contacts with Akatsuki. That could mean Tsunade might have spies in their midst. If that was true, no hidden village was safe. The only thing that was entering her mind was she was being set up by the council and elders. Lucky she, there was one power she had left. It was a gamble and it was a risk, but she could call a war summit with the captains, department heads and clan heads. If they side with her, if they agreed that Orochimaru was preparing for war, then she could overturn the daimo's decisions and both the village civilian council and the village shinobi council power would become void in a time of war. She would gain supreme power over all military jurisdictions and the power of the Hokage would be restored. For once she was thanking Orochimaru for being a rogue ninja that was plotting to wage war against Konoha. Shizune. Tsunade called out. Tsunade-sama, I'm right next door, you don't have to shout. Shizune said as she enters the Hokage's office. I need you to call a war summit immediately. A war summit? Orochimaru is planning to attack us and we need to get prepared. Tsunade said. I'm on it, Tsunade-sama. Tsunade enters the old war room. It was clear it hasn't been used in years. However, it would have to do. She would pay some genins to clean it tomorrow. Tsunade sat down at the edge of the table and waited. Sure enough, the Anbu commander, Terai, came in, followed by Shikaku the Jonin commander, Inoichi the head of intelligence department and the clan head of Yamanaka clan. Hitaki Kakashi was surprisingly on time. Most likely he didn't want to see his precious book getting burned. Alright, thank you all for coming here on short notice. Jiraiya left me with some terrible news. Orochimaru has made a new alliance with Several hidden villages, all of which hate Konoha. Are they planning to attack Konoha? Inoichi said. Most likely. Shikaku said. Orochimaru Su. FFERED a heavy defeated when the Oto-Suna Sound Sand Alliance failed. It possible that he is trying to get a bigger army and will attempt to fight Konoha on multiple fronts. Everyone mutters. I agree, Kakashi said. Orochimaru would not seek an alliance unless he was seeking to do harm to Konoha. Right now we may be considered to be the strongest village, but even we cannot fight so many enemies on so many fronts. However, we have a problem. We've lost all our allies because we banish Uzumaki Naruto. Choza said. I will send out request for aid to the other hidden villages and countries Damo-sama. Tsunade said. Then we are in agreement, we are at war. Shikaku said. Agreed, it clear that Orochimaru is massive a stronger force than last time. Kakashi said. Tsunade smiled and the why all got up nodding their heads in agreement. Both councils were just going to love this. The thought made her smile. Demon Country Priestess Temple. Itachi and Naruto stop in front of the temple and look up. Getting to the port was easy. Getting on a ship was easy. Getting to the Demon Country's priestess was easy. Now they had the most difficult task before them. Getting the priestess Shion to agree to help them. An explosion caused part of the temple to collapse. Protect Shion-sama, the samurai shouted as they rushed to the temple. Naruto, let's go, Itachi said as they both followed the samurai. Itachi knew that samurai train in chakra much like shinobis, however they used chakra differently. Naruto jumps inside ignoring Itachi's warning of caution. Taiju Kage Bunshin, mass shadow clone, Naruto shouted. Who is that Gaki, Brat Zero? The shinobis in white clothing shouted. Orochimaru Kusagakure hidden base. Kabuto was walking towards the main chamber where Orochimaru was busy looking at a map with small figures on the map. Orochimaru has yet to move the pieces but he was merely stared at it. However Kabuto knew at once that Orochimaru was only playing the war game in his mind and once he found the best move. Kabuto said nothing as he knew better than to interrupt Orochimaru as he was in plotting mode. Instead he walks over to the table by the wall and picks up some folders. He immediately recognized that these were Konoha shinobis, their best shinobis. A gift from the elders of Konoha. Orochimaru said as he got up and moves a piece from Hagigakure to Konoha's eastern borders. He then places Gurren figure near Takigakure, hidden waterfall village and the valley of End. He then places the Hanya Anbu in Kusagakure, hidden grass village. Orochimaru walks to Kabuto and picks up an envelope. Make sure our Anbu studies these files. Orochimaru said as he hands the envelope to Kabuto. Kabuto opens it and looks at it. Konoha's Anbu list. How did Danzo-sama get this? Kabuto asks with curiosity. Even he couldn't this. I suspect he took Uchiha Shisui's Sharingan eye for himself. If that's so, then he's going to be very troublesome later. Orochimaru replied. You suspect a betrayal. I do. Danzo is well known for not keeping alliances long. However he's only remained this long with us because we've got a common enemy. Tsunade-sama. Kabuto said. Yes, now, what is it Kabuto? I heard some very interesting news. I trust you know about Oni no Kuni, Demon Country, and the rumored Ghost Army. Yes, I know the legend. Well apparently the Ghost Army is nothing more than just statues. From what the rumors say, they have attacked the country's priestess. However 2 unknown shinobis have thwarted the attempt and saved the priestess' life. Interesting. Kabuto, what do you think of our currently strength? We will be struggling against Konoha if we march to war with them, even with our alliance and intel on them. I'm not one to be judgmental Orochimaru-sama, however. Konoha has nearly 5 times the amount of Jonins and Anbu than our coalition. Not to mention, they have your 2 teammates with them. Even without allies, they are the strongest shinobi village of all. We are going to need an edge against them if we hope to defeat Konoha. Then go to Oni no Kuni and find the source of the Ghost Army strength. Who commands them? Orochimaru asks. A dark medical nin Yomi. Interesting. Dark medical nins are usual medics who use forbidden ninjutsu with their medical ninjutsu. See if we'll join our coalition. Orochimaru said. Kabuto bows and leaves. First I must thank you for rescuing Shion-sama. The samurai captain said as he bows before Naruto and Itachi. Shion-sama, You a master of Fuin no Jutsu, sealing techniques, are you not? Itachi asks in a calm voice. I am. I have studying seals since I could read. Shien said in a calm voice. This young shinobi has seal's place on the back of head that is putting him in constant danger. It's hindering his growth, intelligence and his abilities to use chakra properly. Itachi said calmly. How long have been on his? Unknown. It could have been about 10 years. Itachi said. Some seals grow over time. Some became a part of you and are dangerous to remove, if they have been on him for so long. Shien-sama said in a calm manner. I need these seals removed. Naruto said. Shien said nothing but looks at Naruto calmly. Very well, but in return you are to escort me to the Numa no Kuni, Swamp County, so I can completely my own mission. Shien said after a few minutes. She gets up and her samurai follows suit. Follow M. The one thing Shien knew about seals was she had to be careful. If these seals have been on him for a long time, then it may kill him if she wasn't careful. She heard that shinobis sometimes use barbaric methods on their own men and she hated dealing with shinobis. However, the one thing she knew right now was that there were shinobis after her life. It was better if she had some of her own to protect her so she can seal up Morio before he is released upon the world. The hidden plane. Where am I? Naruto said as he opens his eyes. I've been waiting for you, Uzumaki Naruto. A young man said as he stood before Naruto. Who are you? Naruto said in confession. That's right, my decedent wouldn't know me. My name has long been forgotten. However, you're the first transcend to actually meet me. The man said. What do you mean? The seals have been removed from you, however I know you know that you felt my presence in the past. So I wasn't imagined that someone else was inside of me. Not inside, a part of you. Who are you? Otsutsuki Asura, son of the Sage of Paths. You're his son, his youngest son. I had a brother, named Indra, who after my father's death, had a fierce rival with. I'm sorry. Don't be. Our destiny, as I learn, is made by the choices we make. Asura said. So why are you here? Uzumaki Naruto. You have been treated wrongly, I know this. Yet you still have a pure heart. What will you do? Asura asks. I understand their fears. I really do. The Kyuubi did a lot of damage to Konoha and some clans were wiped out. They lost a lot of loved ones because of the attack. However, Konoha is still my home. If I could just show them that I'm not the Kyuubi, then I would be happy. However, that's not possible being banished. However, that doesn't mean should hate them. Peace cannot be achieved with brute strength. First you must love yourself as much as you love your neighbor, then. Only by understanding and accepting each other, can one have peace. That doesn't answer my question. I won't seek revenge, however, nor will I help Konoha. I would rather let them come to me before I just try to return. In the meantime, I will create a shinobi village that will learn the principles of love and peace. Naruto said. Asura smiled. I'm glad you're my transcendent. Give me your dominate hand and I will give you my power. Asura said. Naruto held out his hand and he could feel chakra, power and knowledge running in him. Naruto mindscape. Itachi did not like what he was about to do, but he knew he had to do it. As Shien-sama was performing the curse seal removal ritual, he was using his Sharingan to enter Naruto's mindscape. You are no doubt a very talented shinobi to come this far in matter of seconds. A deep voice said behind a large cage. Now I see, the Sharingan, one as powerful as Uchiha Madara. No wonder why you were able to break that genjutsu place upon you when you attempted to kidnap Naruto to extract me. I have studied genjutsu under Uchiha Shisui until his death. However, I haven't come here to talk. I came to ask for help. What do you want? Kyuubi asks. I want you to give your power and help Uzumaki Naruto. Itachi said. I will not help a human. All you see is as just weapons to be harnessed. I would rather see you all dead before I help one of you. Also, I will not be controlled again. Kyuubi said in an anger tone of voice. Then you leave me no choice. I had a feeling you wouldn't do this willingly, Koto Amatsukami. Itachi said as his left jaw Ringan eye shifted into a four-wheel pin and the Kyuubi eyes opened wide. Shit, the Nine Tails said before he closed his eyes and lowered his head. Itachi turned to leave but stopped when the Kyuubi called to him. Will you protect the Gaki, brat? I will. The Sandaime Hokage once said Naruto has the will of fire within him. Itachi said, "Come here, I will give you a gift." Itachi walks forward only, for the Nine Tails chakra to wrap around like a cocoon. It is done. What did you do? Itachi asks. I increase your chakra and infuse the Uchiha Shisui Sharingan into both of yours eyes. You now have the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. I also cured your body of the disease that's been plaguing you. Protect him, guard him, even should he lose himself. Kyuubi said, I won't forget that you've changed me. But I'm not mad about either. Now go. Itachi opens his eyes to see Naruto standing up. We should go, Naruto said as he looked down upon his right hand. Itachi spotted it with his new enhanced vision. There was a small circle on it that was some sort of seal and it was glowing. Konohagakure. Tsunade was in her office with a smile on her face. She didn't like the idea of war, but to take down the councils made her day. The war summit went well and everyone agreed to strip the council of their power and give emergency powers to Tsunade to counter the growing threat of Orochimaru and his allies. Kaharu. Homura did not take it well and tried to convince Tsunade to restore the power of the council. She refused, stating she would only restore the power of the council when Orochimaru was dead and the war was over. In the end the elders spoke to the Fire Daiwayam, tried to convince Tsunade to restore the power of the council. She refused, stating she would only restore the power of the Uncil when Orochimaru was dead and the war was over. In the end the elders spoke to the Fire Daimyo and he agreed Tsunade could keep her emergency powers under the condition that the council had the right to know the course of actions she was taking. She hated dealing with the greedy pigs, but knew better than to argue with the Fire Daimyo. She immediately made Jiraiya her second, but something in the back of her mind told her Danzo should be her second. He brushed it off and scowled at the thought of the old war hawk. She wished Naruto was in the village. She knew if they get Naruto back, they restore the alliance they had with other nations and possible restore their military might to glory, not to mention the resources wouldn't be facing the problems they were today. The only thing she knew that was ahead was that Konoha would be facing its darkest hour. Chapter 06. The Festival of the Alliance. 7 years later, era of the Fourth Great Shinobi War. Orochimaru was pleased. Things have been going well. 5 years ago, he openly declared war on Konoha the moment Danzo informed Tsunade's plan to use his attack during the Chunin exams to defend Konoha. Orochimaru sped up his plans and attacked Konoha. Just as he suspected, Konoha shinobis were strong and pushed back his forces. However, he allowed that to happen in order to weaken Konoha's line of defense. Konoha was busy trying to keep the supplies secure so they keep fighting his coalition. One of the main problems he was having was Hitaki Kakashi. However, that was to be expected. Kakashi was a war veteran. He knew how to attack enemies and use their own resources against him. Another problem he was having was Nara Shikaku. Orochimaru had to rethink some of his attack after an outpost that should have fallen to him caused his beloved Curse Seal Level 2 monsters to retreat from the combination tactics of the Anbu station there. These were factors Orochimaru already planned ahead. He knew Jiraiya was keeping a close eye on him, but it hardly mattered. Tsunade medical ninjutsu and Jiraiya's espionage hardly matter. No, what was causing him to frown was the mysterious village Tanagakure, Hidden Valley Village, and their shinobis that appeared around the same time as his war against Konoha. It wasn't just their shinobis they had to be cautious of. They quickly established an alliance Sunagakure, Hidden Sand Village, and DK's no Kuni, Wind Country, rather quickly. Barely a week passed and other countries quickly joined the alliance. Yuki no Kuni, Land of Snow, and the Daimyo Kazuhana Koyuki quickly joined the alliance. A real shocker was when Tori no Kuni, Bird Country, and its leader Toki joined the alliance. Bird Country had no military power, so many within Orochimaru's coalition scoffed at that small country. However, Orochimaru knew they were one of the richest countries in the world and a cornerstone for trade goods. The Oni no Kuni, Demon Country, joined thanks to the country's priestess Shion and its Urai held the mysterious Shiro Senko, White Flash, in high regards. The only good thing about sending Kabuto, a master spy, to Oni no Kuni was that he was able to save Yomi from death long enough to learn a medical kinjutsu known as Kyoka Shoho. Chakra Chunyu, strengthening prescription. Chakra injection, to use on their soldiers. The weakest as Orochimaru need to have his strong survive. Orochimaru. Yu frowns thinking about gaining that kinjutsu. It was at the same time the Shiro Senko first appeared and his name began to send a chill down his spine. People said he was fast as the Yondaime Hokage. That caused Orochimaru to worry. He got more worried when the alliance gained control of Mori no Kuni, Forest County, and other countries like Mitsu no Kuni, Honey Country, Tsuki no Kuni, Moon Sea. Aontri, Yama no Kuni, Mountain Country, Kawa no Kuni, River Country, Umi no Kuni, Sea Country, was a devastating loss for Orochimaru as Amachi had to abandon his underwater hideout. Numa no Kuni, Swam. P Country became a province of the alliance as there were few people who lived out there. Cha no Kuni T Country joined the alliance fairly quickly as did a few other. Na no Kuni, Vegetables Count. Rai and its Daimo Haruna joined as well. Nami no Kuni, Wave Country, and their neighbor Uzu no Kuni, Whirlpool Country, also joining, allowing the alliance to gain much control of raw goods and ports that many villages needed. The real kicker was when Takigakure, Hidden Waterfall Village, a nation not near any others of the alliance, joined them. Whoever this Shiro Senko was, he got all these countries to join him in under a year. Orochimaru frowns when he tried to petition the alliance to join his cause. They declared they were neutral. It was a real surprise when the strongest samurai nation, Tetsu no Kuni, Iron Country, became allies with the alliance. Orochimaru knew the alliance could be a problem, especially if they start building up their military. He had sent spies into their territory, but they all reported nothing to him. Whoever was in charge was highly skilled. Orochimaru knew firsthand it wasn't easy to create a counterintelligence division. Even when you did, you needed to have intelligence already in your possession to control intelligence. It did not matter. As soon as he obtained the Sharingan for himself, he would destroy the pathetic alliance and its shinobis. Yohime-sama, Lady Princess, how are you feeling? Jiraiya said as he appeared upside down behind her. Use the door, Jiraiya, Tsunade shouted as she reads the report. Danzo's Foundation member managed to raid one of Orochimaru's stock houses and managed to get food and medicine to the village. The civilian council made sure the village knew who got them much needed supplies and food. When asked how did he get so much without them getting any damage, Danzo and the two farts called elders just smile and said they had their ways. What do you need? Tsunade said. I need a mission. Jiraiya said. Just go. Tsunade said, no caring about the mission. Kurenai and her team were captured for trespassing near Takigakure. What were they doing there? Tsunade shouted. They were tailing some Oto nins who were talking to Takigakure shinobis. Is the alliance getting involved? Tsunade asks with concern. Unknown, however, his could mean some bad news for us. I need your permission to infiltrate the alliance, see if I can find them. Go, quickly, before this gets out of hand. Tsunade orders. Jiraiya said no more and vanished. He knew the best place to get information was into Ri no Kuni, Bird Country, where it was rumored to the capital of the alliance. Unknown location. Kurenai woke and it took her a moment to realize she was being dragged by her arms by two shinobis wearing black kimono clothes, a sword strapped to their backs. They also had black conical straw hats along with mempo masks that look like a cross between a dragon's face to a kitsune fox teeth. There was also a filter between where the mouth hole should have been. It took Kurenai a moment to realize they were alliance members. Anbu. She's awake. Someone said. The drug is beginning to wear off. Someone else said. Hold her. She can create genjutsu without casting the hand seals for them. Someone said. Kurenai felt a rough hand lifts her head up by the top of her head, nearly yanking her hair out of its roots. It was then she realized that a needle was pressing itself into her neck and something was entering her. Another alliance Anbu, wearing the same black kimono with a white marking on the outfit, approached Kurenai and lifts her head up by her chin. By the way she was holding her, this had to a kunoichi, female shinobi. Why has Konoha enter alliance territory? The woman asks. Kurenai said nothing. She was grinding her teeth to prevent her from speaking. Strong, I would expect nothing less from Yuhi Kurenai, the famed genjutsu mistress of Konoha. I would advise you against any attempts of escape. This ship is one of the alliance many used to travel for Anbu operations. You will be monitored and watched by Anbu at all time, until we can reach the capital. Until such time, it would be wise if you behaved yourself. The Anbu captain said before dropping her hand, allowing Kurenai's head to fall down, and she was being dragged back to the cell block. Jiraiya managed to use his cover as a rider to enter Tori no Kuni, Bird Country, and was surprised when people were setting up some things. The samurai guarding the gate gave him a city pass that would allow him to walk around the city but did not give him access to the shinobi and military areas. Excuse, I'm a traveler who is attempting to write a book, what are you preparing for? Jiraiya asks a shopkeeper. First time in Tori no Kuni. I haven't been here in a few years. Jiraiya admitted. Most likely before Toki-sama helped founded the Aliacne with the Shodime Kurokage-sama. First Black Shadow Leader. Can you help me? I do want to write about the rise of the Kurokage-sama. His rise fame is the quickest in the elemental nations. I can only tell you what was told to me. The shopkeeper said, I'm willing to pay your time. Jiraiya said, just buy some things from my shop and we'll call it even. Now then, where to begin? Ah yes, are you aware of Oni no Kuni, Demon Country, and the country's priestess Shion-sama? I've heard stories. Jiraiya admitted. Then you know two shinobis arrived and aided Shion-sama when she was nearly taken from the world. What many don't know is the Kurokage Sam. At the time was seeking Shion-sama help for her mastery of seals to remove a cursed seal that was placed on him. Afterwards he helped her seal away a demon and the two became good friends. He would then travel the lands and learn as much as he could. He also gathered companions and followers. They make up the Tanagakure, Hidden Valley Village shinobis. However, the greatest of his followers serve as his personal bodyguards. They call themselves the Cage Shin, Shadow Gods, the four strongest of shinobis under the Tanagakure shinobis. They must be strong if he named them that. Jiraiya said. He was a bit disturbed by this piece of information. He didn't name them. They had no name until 3 years ago when the Alliance gave them that name. Do you know who they are? Only one. She's the most popular Cage Shin. You'll see her later tonight at the festival. I guess you don't know their abilities. I don't. They keep their techniques and abilities real lip sealed tight. That pass is a civilian pass. Shinobis and samurai have similar cards. I don't know how they work, but it's to prevent spies from sneaking around. What about the Kurokage? I trust he'll be at the festival. He always attends. This year we're trying to make things look good. Why? Kurigakure, Hidden Mist Village, and the Mizukage will be attending. Lately tension has been mounting high between He Alliance and Mizu no Kuni, Water Country, and her shinobi and allies. The Kurokage and the Alliance are hoping to have Kurigakure and Mizu no Kuni as allies instead of as enemies. Why are tensions high between the Alliance and Kurigakure? As you are aware, Kurigakure and Mizu no Kuni hold the West Sea and its trade routes. However, in a short time, the Alliance has been gaining control of the eastern and southern seas. They don't like being challenged for control of the sea. It is the wish and will of the Alliance Daimos and the Kurokage as well as the Kagekage to try to get a treaty or an alliance with Kurigakure. So the Alliance is hoping to expand its control of the ocean trade routes. When that happens, the only countries with ports the Land of Fire and the Land of Lightning. The Land of Fire we're not worried about. According to Kurokage-sama, Konoha cannot last long in this war with so little resources. The only way for Konoha to survive the war is to get Kumogakure Hidden Cloud Village, Iwagakure, Hidden Stone Village, or the Alliance to help them. How strong is the Kurokage? Jiraiya asks as he wrote down what was being said. Not sure. I know he can take on entire armies by himself and not even his bodyguards can defeat him. Shiro Senko is one of many names he's gone by. Tetsu Kishi, Iron Knight, is one of his names. Kyojin, Giant, is also one of them. Raps his most famous as the Shinobi no Kami. God of Shinobis, he earned that because it is rumored there is no shinobi who can defeat him. Jiraiya knew to earn the title Shinobi no Kami was no easy task. No, even his sensei and master, Sarutobi Hiruzen, wasn't called the Shinobi no Kami despite being the strongest Sandaime Kage, third shadow, of the 5 great nations and villages. True, many consider him to be a shinobi god. But he wasn't at the level of the Shodime Hokage, first fire shadow, Senju Hashirama fighting level or chakra level. Jiraiya has heard of the other names as well as we. All growing and powerful names in the shinobi world. Tetsu Kishi was famous for being skilled with dual kodachi and for having a near indestructible skin that made many offensive jutsus and weapons useless against him. Kyojin was another famous name as the person could use his chakra to become the size of a summoning with 6 arms and 3 faces. It's late, the festival is about to start, I hope you stop by my store later. The man said as he got up and walked away. Thank you, Jiraiya said. However, he was worried. The Kurokage was stronger than he originally thought. All those names have popped up in his spy network. But their identities and abilities were unknown and Jiraiya couldn't find a trace of their origins. Jiraiya hid in the crowd, trying to make sure that he wasn't spotted or recognized. He was eating and drinking, trying to find some clues as to who exactly the Kurokage was. There she is, it's Satsuka-sama. The crowd shouted. Jiraiya went to the main road and to his serper. Eyes he could a young girl no older than 19 dancing on top of a stage. She had red hair that she kept tied in a ponytail on the left side. She was wearing a very revealing outfit and Jiraiya could feel his pervert side coming out and his desire to get to know her more, personally. However, he did well to keep himself in check. If you guys think of Morgiana from Magi, Labyrinth of Magic, then this is her. She's also a Kage Shin, though she's going to be the weakest of the shadow gods. Her bio will appear in the next chapter. You're beautiful as always, Satsuka-sama. Someone shouted. Gee. Raya watched the festival with interested. Tamari and the wind users of Sunagaker made an appeared and the puppeteers also did a show. Other shinobis made an appearance, using ninjutsu and genjutsu to make a spectacle. Jiraiya paused and realized he was looking at a high VIP box where security was very heavy. It was then he noticed the Godime Kage Gaara and a man wearing cage hat as well, but it was black. Jiraiya decided to risk it and try to get as close as possible. Up in the cage box, Deimos from the Alliance and the 2 cages sat waiting for the arrival of the Godime Mizukage Terumime as well as the Mizu Daimo. Gaara and the Shiro Senko turns their heads to see the Mizukage arrival. Mizukage Dono, welcome. I trust your journey was safe. The Kurokage said. It was, thank you. Mei said as she took her seat. So this is a festival. Mei said in an amusing tone of voice. It is, we have one every year. It for the birth of the Alliance. The Kurokage said. Mei reaches. For the sake but stop when her one-eye shinobi shouted at her. Mizukage-sama. The one-eye shinobi said. Calm down now, they wouldn't try to poison me. Mei said as she took a sip of sake and places it on the table that was next to her. Aren't we here to do a treaty? Ao asks as kept a close eye on the Kurokage. We are, however, it's pointless to do it right away. Today, we'll enjoy the festival, tomorrow we'll talk about the treaty. Enjoy yourselves, the Kurokage said. Later that night, the Mizukage had to admit that the festival was ingenious. Now they were on an island in bird country, Mizukage was enjoying the festival and the people were generous and kind. She knew it wasn't an act. She looks over to where the people were gathering. What is it? The Kurokage said, breaking the Mizukage out of her thoughts. She looked to see an Anbu member kneeling before his leader. A squad of Konoha shinobis have been captured. They were infiltrating Tokigakure where coalition shinobis were attempting to negotiate the use for a base within the country. Bring them before me. Hi, Kurokage-sama. Are you helping Orochimaru? Kurokage Dono. Mei asks. No, I am neutral. Though I court with the way the wind is blowing, we're going to get involved. The Kurokage said as he down his hat he gets and grabs a drink before walking towards where the stairs were. He raises his cup up and the crowd cheers at the sight of their leader. As long as we stay true to each other, the alliance will be blessed and stay strong. May the blessings of the divine smile upon the alliance. As long as the leaves dance, our fire will never die. The Kurokage shouted. Everyone shouted and cheered. That's, the Kurokage said in an uneasy tone. What is it? A female with brown hair and brown eyes said. She was much shorter than the 5 foot 10 inches Kurokage. She stood at 5 foot 5 inches and was extremely beautiful. Taki, gather the Anbu and what Jonins you can. Jiraiya of the legendary Sannin is here. The Kurokage said. Let's go. Taki said as the samurai and shinobis walks down into the crowd. Jiraiya looked at the Shodime Kurokage in surprise. He thought with someone of his reputation would be older. He didn't expect a kid to be a leader. He quickly ships back into the shadows and realized something strange. The guards were moving away from their post and were moving in attack formation. Jiraiya looks around and realizes somehow his cover must have been blown. Time to go, Jiraiya mutters as he walks away while trying to appear normal. He was near the gate when several shinobi's shunshin body flicker in front of him. Your pass, the lead kunoichi said in a bossy tone. Jiraiya pulled out his pass and hands it to her, trying to play it cool and hoping she didn't see. Through his Henge no Jutsu transformation technique. You came from the North Gate. Where did you come from? Taki asks. Ain no Kuni, Rain Country. Jiraiya lied. I see, what you doing out here? I'm a author. I'm trying to write a book on the success of the Alliance and the Kurokage in a fantasy shinobi romance book. Something like this, Jiraiya said, pulling out his first book. I see, yo, you do realize lying to me is not wise, Jiraiya. Taki said as she narrows her eyes and crushes the pass in her hands. Jiraiya knew the gig was up and undid the henge and turns to face the beautiful young woman. So you know, what gave me away? Jiraiya said. It's simple, a simple writer would not possess a cage chakra level. You did well to hide your chakra, however we have skilled sensors and we monitor people coming into our territory. Taki said. So what happens now? Jiraiya asks as he took a defensive stance. Kurokage-sama and the rest of the Alliance leaders want to talk to you. Taki said. She narrowed her eyes as if she was expecting a fight as well. I guess it won't hurt to talk. I'm not here to start a war between the Alliance and Konoha. However, several of our shinobis were captured by Tokigakure shinobis. According to my network, they were heading here. Spies are not tolerated. I'm sure Konoha can understand that. I'm afraid they were sent to spy on some coalition shinobis that were in Tokigakure. If it were up to me, I would have them tortured and extracted for information on Konoha. Taki said in a dark voice. Jiraiya said nothing but nods his head and follows the shinobis up the stairs where the VIPs were stationed. I wasn't expect to meet Jiraiya of the legendary Sannin. The Kurosage with a casual look in his eyes. Jiraiya frowns. I've heard his voice before. Where have I heard it? Look, I don't mean to be rude, but I was hoping to negotiate with you. Oh, what do you want? The Kurokage said. A squad of our shinobis were caught spying on Orochimaru's men in Alliance territory of Tokigakure. I want to petition their release back to Konoha. Yes, I'm aware of these Konoha shinobis in our custody. Also, this is not the first time Orochimaru has attempted to get the Alliance shinobis to help him. We've turned him down repeatedly. The Kurokage said. Jiraiya remained silent, knowing it was best to let the Kurokage understand he was holding the cards. And he shouldn't try to appear that Konoha was going to wage war against the Alliance over this. Jiraiya also knew if he played his cards right, he could petition for an alliance between Konoha and the Alliance. Kurokage-sama, the airship is here. An Anbu member said as a ship appeared over the horizon and landed on the other hill. Jiraiya looked to see 8 Anbu members following what looked like a captain leading 4 shinobis and a large dog towards the group. Konoha shinobis, someone whispered. What are they doing here? They are not a part of the Alliance. Someone else said. Kurokage-sama, hear my report on the Konoha shinobis who infiltrated Tokigakure. The Anbu captain said. Good captain, you and your men should enjoy the feast. The Kurokage said. Kurokage-sama, I didn't mean to violate the neutrality you and your allies have decreed. However, Kurenai began. Kurenai, calm yourself. The Kurokage is not unreasonable. Jiraiya said. Jiraiya-sama, what are you doing here? Looking for you. Jiraiya said. Come. The Kurokage said as he turns and sits behind the desk. Mizukage Dono, what do you think the Alliance should do? Kurokage asks as he sits in the middle and Gaara sits on his right. I'm not a member of the Alliance. You and the Mizu Demo haven't signed the treaty, however you both agreed to join. There you are a part of this council. I don't understand. The Mizukage explained. In the Alliance, it's not the leader who decides things, it majority rule. This is the Alliance Cage Council. Even though you haven't signed the treaty, you are a member of the Alliance and that makes you a part of this council. Gaara replies. The Mizukage said nothing as she sits on the Kurokage left. Jiraiya, please explain Konoha's actions to T. He Alliance Cage Council and tell us why we shouldn't take action against Konoha. The Kurokage said in a calm tone. I really haven't got to say anything. For 5 years, we've been at war with Orochimaru and his Dark Coalition. Right now we're in a stalemate. Konoha heard rumors of Orochimaru's men trying to reach out to the Alliance nation's Tsukigakure and was sent to see if the rumors were true. As her team was the closest at the time. I assure you, the Godime Hokage Suondheim respects the creed of the Alliance and would not risk war between our villages and nations. Jiraiya said, that's not the point. You knew of the Alliance creed. We will not attack another nation, will not allow nation to attack us, will not intervene in the conflicts of other nations. Yet you sent spies to one of the founding members of the Alliance. Mei said in annoyance. The council authorized the mission. Jiraiya lied. They said the Alliance was in league with Orochimaru and this was to help Stren Gthen the Alliance coalition act against Konoha. You must understand how nervous this was making some people if Orochimaru's men kept entering Takigakure. That is, understandable, Gaara said as he folded his hands together and frowns. Please noble leaders of the Alliance. We are not going to win this war unless we get help. Jiraiya said as he put his hands together in a pleading position. Konoha has a great medical ninja program and we are the center of trading routes. I know lately we've had a bad reputation, but Konoha needs this alliance and we're willing to improve your medical program. Jiraiya said. Gaara and Mei frowns while the Kurokage sits back. That is, a generous offer. However, the only problem I have with that is that it would drag us into your war. The Kurokage said in an uneasy tone of voice. Konoha is willing to pay any price for this alliance. Jiraiya said. Money is not an issue. As you can see, we can throw money away without worrying about its losses. The problem I have is throwing my shinobi lives away for a foolish feud between the Sannin. Jiraiya said nothing. Kurenai and her team kept quiet, knowing it was better to let Jiraiya handle the situation. However, the idea of improving our medical programs and trades is quite tempting. What does the council think? I think we should do it. We may have medical shinobis, but we do not have skilled medic nins. Especially ones close to Tsunade's level. Gaara said. I would say yes, however, there have been dark rumors about Konoha these past 7 years. I am not sure what to think about this or how I should vote. Mei said. I agree with Gaara Dono. Having Konoha join the alliance will greatly improve our medical programs. However, at the same time I agree with Mizukage Dono. Konoha do's have a bad reputation in how it regards its heroes and shinobis. The Kurokage said. Those fools on the council are reaping their decision. They may have been the ones to make that decision but the village didn't approve of it. Jiraiya said, hoping to deal with damage control. I guess the best course of action would be to visit Konoha. I shall speak with Tsunade Dono more about this matter and see if Konoha truly needs this alliance. And to see Konoha has learned its lesson. The Kurokage said in a calm voice. Jiraiya was the only one who noticed, but Taki did not look happy with this decision. If anything, she looked worried. Jiraiya was also wondering where he's heard the Kurokage voice again. No matter how much I try to recall my memory, I know I've heard his voice before. However, I know I've never met him before. What's going on? Shiro Senko, just who are you? The Kurokage grabs a blank scrolls and begins to write in it. When he finishes, he rolls it up and preforms a seal on it. Give this to Hokage Dono. How about a deal, Kurokage? Kiba suddenly said. What kind of deal? The Kurokage said. I bet I can kick your assistant's ass. If I win, then the alliance agrees to help Konoha. Kiba said. Interesting proposal. What happens if Taki wins? The Kurokage said in a bored voice. Kurenai and Jiraiya's eyes opened wide. They were silently praying that this was not the Taki they were thinking of. You can get any jutsu you want from Konoha. Kiba said. Akamaru gave a whine. Don't worry Akamaru, we'll be able to kick her ass. We're the alpha males here. Kiba said. What do you think, Taki? The Kurokage said as if he already knew outcome. I'll do it, I want to take him down a few pegs. Taki said. Taki-sama, are you really going to fight? An Anbu captain said with some concern. Taki-sama is going fight. Someone shouted as Taki and Kiba walked down to the pit only a foot deep where the crowd started to gather. Taki was walking when she sensed someone approaching her at a fast pace. She disappears and reappeared behind Kiba. That was rude. We haven't even started yet, Taki said as she stood up as Kiba stood there on all four smiling. In the shinobi world we don't wait for someone to say start, Kiba said. That is true, Taki said. I'm Inuzuka Kiba, lieutenant of the 15th Anbu squad. Kiba said. You can refer to me as Taki-sama, Lady Taki. I'm the Shodime Kurokage advisor and assistant. Good to know, Yase Gatenga. Wild Fang rotating Fang, Kiba shouted. Taki moved to the side and avoided both Kiba and Akamaru, noting getting hit from the technique no matter how close of a call she came to. Kiba stops and pants. He knew he needed to get in his opponent's head. How about we make another deal? Kiba said smirking. You can't defeat me, but what do you want? If I win you and I get to spend some quality time together. Kiba said with a grin. Jiraiya and the rest of Kurenai team froze up the moment they realized the crowd who was cheering Taki fell silent as if a chill went their spine. He wants to do it with Taki-sama. Someone whispered. Does he have a death wish? Someone else said. I'm not worried about Taki-sama. She is known as Taki no Shinsaku, Godspeed Taki, and only the Kurokage or Toshiro-sama are the only ones able to keep up with her. I'm more worried about that Konoha nin. He wants to sleep with Kurokage-sama's wife. You cannot defeat me, but interesting. What do I get if I win? Taki said. Anything you want, Kiba said sounding confident. Since you're in the mood you got to carry your dog on your back as he dry-ups you all the way to Konoha and you can't stop until you finish your report to your Hokage-sama. Taki said. A great roar of laughter echoed the island. I like it. Put the Konoha nin in his place, Taki-sama. End the match, Taki-sama. Not going to happen, you're going to see me serious. Akamaru. Jujin Bushin, beast human clone. Akamaru changed into Kiba and Taki raised her eyebrows. Take this. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, shadow clone technique. Another Kiba appeared. If you're hoping to confuse me, it won't work. You can't defeat with just clones. Taki said. You haven't seen nothing yet. This is me at my best. Get ready to spend some time with me in bed. Kiba said as all three of them form a Hitsuji, Ram, Seal, Jinju Kongo Henge, Santoro. Human beast transformation. Cerberus. Taki raised her eyebrows as she looked into the body of very large dog, with 3 heads. Eat this. Kiba's voice echoed. Uiga Gatenga. Tail chasing Fang Fang rotating Fang. Moving like wheel Kiba moved at Taki at high speed. Just as she was about to be hit she vanished only to reappear behind him in a split second. Kiba's jutsu was undone causing Kiba to crash land with Akamaru reappearing in his originally form and the Kage Bunshin to be dispelled. A deal's a deal, is it not? Taki said. But I was supposed to win. Kiba said as he passed out. Males with pride and hormone issues. I hate men like that. Taki said as she vanished and reappeared next to the Kurokage. Rooms have been prepared for you. Tomorrow morning you will be escorted to our borders so you can return to Konoha. The Kurokage and Taki vanished along with a white-haired boy with light sea-green eyes. That's Toshiro. Jiraiya realized with some concern. What is it? The Kurokage asks the moment they were alone. You know what it is without me saying anything. Do you think it's wise for you to return to Konoha? Taki said in a concerned voice. I hold no grudges, and a part of me wants to help them. The Kurokage said. I agree with Taki Dono. This is a dangerous gamble. It's true we can't let Orochimaru win, but we can't exactly side with Konoha. Itachi's information on the elders is disturbing. We got to start somewhere. The Kurokage said. Take rested her head on his chest and tried to battle the tears that were threatening to fall. I don't lose you, Naruto. Chapter 07. Kindle of Hope. Konohagakure. Tsunade was sleeping on the desk knowing that things were not going well. She had just finishing a report from Kakashi who reported there was a massive mobilization going on in Otogakure. Hidden Sound Village. However, Kakashi didn't have the manpower or resources to investigate. Heim. Princess Jiraiya said, waking Tsunade up. I wasn't sleeping, Tsunade said as she bolted up. She blinks at the strange face Jiraiya was making at her. Jiraiya, what are you doing back so early? Team Kurenai and I are reporting in. Jiraiya said. Kurenai, you escaped, Tsunade said with joy. We were let go, Kurenai said sadly. Wait, am I dreaming? I swear it's only been a day. How did you get here so fast? Tsunade said. A Yuki no Kuni, Snow Country, airship dropped us off nearby. I bet Danzo is throwing a fit when he realized the Alliance has airships. Knowing Danzo, he'll want to march off to war against the Alliance. Tsunade said as Jiraiya merely stood there. What do you have to report? Tsunade finally asks. Call a council meeting of all military parties. They need to hear this, but first, you need to read this. Jiraiya said, handing the Kurokage scroll to her. Tsunade opens it and reads it. Her eyes opens wide as saucers. I'll call a meeting right away. Tsunade said. War Council Chambers. Everyone was waking up and yawning as the emergency meeting. Tsunade herself looked tired but somehow very serious. She was reading a scroll and had a frown on her face. Tsunade, what reason do you have for calling us? Kaharu demanded as she took her seat next to the other village shinobi elders. I thank you all for coming on such short notice. 24 hours ago, Kurenai and her team were captured in Takigakure, Hidden Waterfall Village, for spying. I sent Jiraiya to negotiate for their release and explain our situation. You sent Jiraiya to infiltrate the Alliance without the approval of the council. Tsunade, what were you thinking? Kaharu said in anger. I agree. The Alliance will not take this well. Homura said. Danzo as usual was keeping quiet and trying to gather the intel and try to see how he could manipulate it to his advantage. That's not very nice, seeing how I'm right here. Jiraiya said behind the Hokage. What are you doing back in the village, Jiraiya? Homaru asks. If you allowed me to finish, you would like to K. Now that the Alliance has offered to have talks with Konoha and the Daimyo. Tsunade said as she hands the elders the scroll. If we can get the Alliance and their resources to help us, then we might just win this war. Shikaku said. I agree, our resources are running dangerously low. We'll barely last a month. That is if not Orochimaru is planning something big. Kakashi said. The question I have is, can they be trusted? Danzo said. What do you mean, Danzo? Tsunade said in annoyance. They just hand back our shinobis without asking or giving us penalties. What does this mean? Especially when Orochimaru's allies have been seen in the Alliance's territories. Danzo said. If they were allies with Orochimaru, they would have already attacked us. They have shinobis already at cage level. Jiraiya said. What do you mean? Danzo said. He narrowed his one eye and looked a bit concerned. The Alliance has 8 shinobis, all at the fighting level of a cage level. They are called the Inshog. Shadow Generals. They are the commanders under the cage of the Alliance. Impossible. They have 8 cage-level shinobis. Kaharu said in disbelief. It gets worse, the Kurokage is being called the Shinobi no Kami, God of Shinobis, by his followers. Just because he's a god, a fancy title, doesn't mean we should worry. Homaru said. I think we should. Shinobi no Kami, Shiro Senko, White FL, Ash Tetsu Kishi, Iron Knight, and Kyojin Giant are some of the names he has gone by. I got in touch with a contact and he tells me he is also called the Bofu no Kami, Storm God. He goes by other names, but I have yet to find out what they are. Jiraiya said. Bofu no Kami was a well-known name. It caused all the shinobi's eyes to go wider than a plate dish. The story of Bofu no Kami was that pirates had massacred an entire village, mostly because they refused to give the pirates money for protection fees. Angered, the pirates killed everyone. The survivors sought their ally Tanigakure, Hidden Valley Village, a new formed village, for help. The story goes that they only sent one shinobi, one whose chakra nearly destroyed the land and created a storm by his anger. The pirates were all killed. The pirate lord begged for mercy, but head was separated from his body and placed on a spike. To give warning to all pirates, Tanigakure was or her allies was not to be trifled with. You believe in such stories? Danzo scoffed. That's like saying the powers of my grandfather, the Shodaime Hokage Senju Hashirama, was not strong as the stories make him out to be. That he was just a fairy tale. Tsunade said. Danzo grins his teeth, having witnessed the Shodaime Hokage battle priors. So he knew shinobis of the Shodaime Hokage's level were likely. The Shodaime Kurokage is not a man to be taken lightly. It's not just the Inshogun we have to worry about. They are, you can say, the small fries of the elites. There are others we have to be concerned about, Jiraiya said in a concerned tone. What do you mean, Jiraiya? Koharu said. The Kurokage is protected at all times by 4 elite shinobis, all at the fighting level of Sarutobi-sensei. They are called the Kage Shin Shadow Gods. There's more Kage level they have, Kakashi said with his one visible eye open wide. It gets even worse, I'm afraid. The Kurokage has somehow gotten 2 SS-class shinobis to fight for him, Jiraiya said. Who? Suand asks with concern. Taki no Shinsaku, Godspeed Taki, and Toshiro the Koryu Ice Dragon. Jiraiya said. How did he get those 2 to fight under him? Homaru half shouted. He was whoa. Read that Tanigakure managed to become so powerful. They've kept themselves hidden, only their allies know their strengths. It's why I believe they may be stronger than they let me know. Let's not forget, that's just their known major players. There could be others, not to mention the rumors that have been going on about Tanigakure and her shinobis. Also, they throw away resources like it's garbage. That tells me they have more than enough resources to spare and give to us. We cannot accept the Alliance resources. They would most likely turn our beloved Konoha into a puppet government. Danzo said. Have you even looked outside the village, Danzo? Our food supplies are nearly run out. The people won't last much longer in their current state. Our shinobi forces are on the verge of collapsing. We have no medical supplies to heal our shinobis, and what supplies we do have left have been taken by you and the civilian council members for exclusive rights. We need this alliance, Tsunade shouted. But, Danzo, you are not wrong. However, we should proceed with caution into this alliance. We know nothing about Tanigakure. Not to mention Sunagakure has betrayed us once. Homaru said. I agree, Tsunade. This Kurokage is a very dangerous individual. We know nothing about him. The alliance with them would be a good thing. However, the only thing we know about them is their creed. If we sign any treaty with them, how do we know we'll get military support? Homaru said. Your concerns are just, but if we don't do something soon, we're all going to die. Shikaku said. Danzo Foundation Headquarters. Homaru, Koharu and Danzo were all sitting down. Why did you 2 support Tsunade? With this, Konoha will not become strong as it's supposed to. Danzo said. Danzo, we had to agree. We're already under suspicion and the Hokage doesn't trust us. However, this does give us an opportunity. Koharu said. What do you mean? If Orochimaru and his forces were to attack the Kurokage on his way here, that would secure the alliance between Konoha and Tanigakure and its allies. However, Koharu said, if Konoha Anbu were seen attacking the Kurokage, then, Homura said. Then Konoha W. Old secure the alliance and rule the alliance, and I would become Hokage and make Konoha strong as it's supposed to be. Danzo said with a wicked grin. Danzo, the timing has to be right. I'm sure that those shinobis are not as strong as Jiraiya was explaining. Most likely they are stories to make people have wild speculations of. Koharu said. Also, when the Kurokage is dead, we need to offer the alliance a offer. We'll give them Tsunade, and once she's out of the way, Homaru said, Konoha will be ours. Koharu finished. Konohagakure. The word spread that Tsunade was trying to secure a treaty with the alliance, and the Kurokage himself would be coming. The villagers were all trying to make the main look presentable. Even Tsunade was nervous. Jiraiya was trying to tell her all he could about him, but there wasn't much to tell. Tsunade sat in the council chambers and paused to think. The Kurokage was interested in expanding the medical programs and having the alliance control the land of Fire due to the fact that they were in the center of the elemental countries. That was a fair trade in her mind. The only problem that she was having was the price of doing business. The Fire Daimyo was informed and he agreed to attend the meeting. What disturbed her was the elder agreed to it so quickly. She knew they were going to sabotage the meeting and try to piss off the Kurokage. She prayed they weren't plotting to assassinate him. That would spell the end of Konoha. Suand looked at Jiraiya, Nara Shikaku, Hitaki Kakashi and her Anbu commander. They would be present during the meeting. Godime Hokage-sama, an airship has been sighted. An Anbu member said as he kneeled before her the moment he entered the room. Is it another Sora Sky Ninja's raid? Tsunade said. No, Hokage-sama, it bears the symbol of the alliance. Shinobi, send a squad of Anbu to escort the Kurokage here at once. Hi. The airship. Drop a squad of Anbu before the Kurokage drop to the ground with his elite bodyguards and Taki. Wait here and keep the area secure. The Kurokage said as he walks forwards towards Konoha. No one said anything as they walked towards the gate. Looks like they don't want us. Taki said as they reach the main gate which was sealed shut. The Kurokage instead jumps up and lands on top of the wall. His black onyx eyes looks down upon the village with sadness. His bodyguard, and Taki jumps up and lands beside him. Try not to get separated from us. We are to protect you from harm. Even though I know you don't need it. Taki said. Look at Konoha. It's in even worse shape than I thought. Naruto said in a sad voice. It almost looked like a ghost town. Taki said. Tsunade and Jiraiya are more desperate than I thought. It's no wonder why Jiraiya tried to turn a bad situation into an alliance. Naruto said. I know you want to help your home village, but remember, you have the alliance to think about. Taki said as she suddenly took a defensive stance. Kurokage Dono, I'm an Anbu captain of Team Ro. A woman with purple hair said. I am here to escort you to Hokage-sama. The captain said. Naruto looks at her and recalls her name was Azuki Yugao of the Konoha Anbu forces. She was also one of the few shinobis who was kind to him when he was younger. Thank Captain San. Please let's be on our way. They walked through the streets, which they could see building. GS and shops starting to fall apart and break. The road itself had weeds growing all over the place. They reach the tower without incident and Tsunade walks out to greet them. Kurokage Dono, welcome to Konoha. Greetings, Tsunade-sama. Had I known your village was in such terrible shape, I would have come sooner and petitioned for an alliance. I understand, the war has made you stay away. However, I'm hoping we can reach an understanding that will benefit both of us. They walked into the council chambers and the meeting began. The council thought they had the Kurokage on the ropes, but it appeared the Kurokage could not be persuaded so easily. I'm sorry, counselor, but that offer will only hinder the alliance. I cannot accept that offer. Tsunade frowns knowing the only thing they agreed on was for Tsunade to train the alliance shinobis in medical ninjutsu for the rights to do missions in their lands. Then came the hard part. The percentage of trades and missions. Akamashi Shinji was an old fat and greedy counselor. He was no politician and rather spend money to get laws passed than use common sense. The Kurokage however seemed to know this and he waved it off. I'm sorry, but we cannot accept merely 20% of trade goods while Konoha keeps 80%. It's a fair deal, Shinji said as if he was speaking to a child. For you perhaps, as I see you're the only one who will profit from this. However, the alliance is about the people, not one man's greed. Taki said speaking up for the first time. At that moment, a burst of chakra erupted in the council chamber. That made everyone think that a sudden storm just erupted inside the chamber. All of Konoha could feel the tremors. They were wonder what was causing it. The civilians were blasted out of their chairs and slammed into the wall. Their body imprints would leave marks of being there. The shinobis had to bring their arms up and stick their chakra to the floors to prevent from being blasted apart. Tsunade and Jiraiya were the only ones who weren't using chakra to stick to the floor or using their arms to cover their faces, but their hairs were blowing around behind them. This is not killer intent, or bloodlust, this is pure chakra. This is insane, no one should have this much power. Not since my grandfather Senju Hashirama. If you ever insult my wife again, I'll kill you. The Kurokage said as his eyes turned gold and he gave a menacing look. Everyone looked surprised at his claim. Tsunade was cursing that old fool Shinji to the deepest pits of hell. Damn you Shinji, you just ruined any chance we had for an alliance. Wars have been started for less. Kurokage, Shinji was out of line and does not speak for all of us. Danzo said speaking for the first time. I assure you he will be stripped of his position on the council for his remark. Sharing our profits is not the issue, however, you have to understand the village is in a state of emergency. Kaharu said, we need funds and supplies quickly or there won't be a Konoha left. I understand that. The alliance is waiting for my word to send supplies. The only thing that needs to happen is an agreement between the alliance and Konoha. The Kurokage said in an angry tone. We understand your anger, but rest assured we do not think like Shinji. Homaru said, Perhaps there is another way. Danzo said. What do you have in mind, Danzo? The Kurokage asks. Talks won't get anywhere. We are shinobis and we prefer our actions to do the talking. A simple contest, winner takes all. Interesting, however, for me to agree, you would have to have something of equal of value to the alliance. The Kurokage said with a frown. The land of fire is the center and cornerstone for trade routes. The alliance has resources and fresh shinobis. The winner gets to decide the terms of the alliance. That's a risky gamble you're taking, Danzo. However, I'll agree one condition. What is it? If Konoha wins, it's the Godime Hawk, Age Tsunade, who will set the terms and you cannot challenge them. Danzo narrowed his eye, clearly not happy with the terms. Very well, Kaharu said. If you win, Konoha's and the Land of Fire trade routes and shipments will fall under the alliance command. Homura said. The Kurokage said nothing but narrows his eyes. Agreed. What is the contest? A simple one, a taijutsu match. However, you and your wife cannot participate. Your skills are unfair to our shinobis. Danzo said. That's fine. The Kurokage said. Where will the contest be held? Taki asks. At the old Chunin Exams Stadium. Homura said. Chapter 08. Way of the Shinobi Chunin Exams Stadium. The word spread around Konoha. Maida Guy would be facing a Tanigakure, Hidden Valley Village, shinobi in a winner-take-all match. NY were surprised that the Kurokage even agreed. Maida Guy may be weird and have a strange fashion sense, but he was the best taijutsu user in all of Konoha. The other being Hitaki Kakashi. Hitaki Kaka's Hai, however, was not in the village and Guy just returned. All the shinobis were heading to the stadium while the civilians were gathered around the monitors. Guy-san, we're counting on you. A Chunin shouted. Guy-san. Tsunade approached Guy and she said something to him, causing Guy to give her a good Guy pose before he started stretching. A young girl with red hair walks down the ramp towards Guy. That's who the alliance is sending to fight Guy-san. A little girl. Guy-sensei explode in the flames of youth. Rock Lee shouted. That girl, she's a dancer. Jiraiya said to Tsunade. What do you mean? Suon said in the cage box. When I went to Tori no Kuni, Bird Country, she was dancing. A shopkeeper told me she's the most popular member of the cage Shin. Guy has to be careful. You think she's the strongest member. You don't become the most popular member just by dancing. Jiraiya said. Taki heard the conversation and was smirking. Oh, if you had any idea you would be singing a different tone. Down below the stadium, Guy and Satsuka were facing off one another. I'm Maida Guy, the green beast of Konoha. Satsuka of the cage Shin. The girl said. I'm afraid I don't know about the cage Shin. We're an elite shinobi unit that was made specially designed to protect the Kurokage. We've also been with the Kurokage the longest. You must respect him if you have stayed with him so long. He knows the ways of the shinobi and fights with honor. Satsuka said in a monotone voice. Then, let's give it our all. Has Guy enter his good guy pose? I always do, Satsuka said, ignoring Guy's good guy smile. Begin, Tsunade said. Guy disappeared in a burst of speed, and Satsuka's body did not move, but for the Jonins in the stadium knew her eyes were capable of following Guy at his speed. At the last second, she dodges Guy's punch before leaping away. You're slow, Guy said as gives a swift right kick. This time Satsuka dodges before putting some distance. Guy leaps AF, tear her and gives kick and punch, all aim to knock her out immediately. However, she was able to slip in between all his punches at the last second. She is either very good at taijutsu, or she's having luck. Neji said as he watched the fight with his Byakugan. She has luck. Guy-sensei has yet to show her his true strength and speed. Lee said as he clutched his fist and started about springtime of youth. That may true, but, Neji said. What is it, Neji? She looks bored and is not showing her own strength either. Kakashi said as he appeared behind the three former Guy students. They turn around to see Kakashi standing behind them. Yo, Kakashi said, giving his famous eye smile. Kakashi Taicho, Captain. Neji is right, even though she's on the defense she has yet to show her own strength. Kakashi said. Guy leaps away and catches his breath. He felt like he thrown 100 punches and kicks yet not one of them landed. Are you reaching your limit? Satsuka asks in a monotone voice. The springtime of youth has no limit, Guy said as he reaches down and grabs his weights. He drops them on the floor, causing them to make a loud clang. They create a small crater on each side of Guy. Guy disappeared and Setsuka immediately dodges to the left, avoiding Guy's sweeping roundhouse kick to her head. How about a trade? Setsuka said, giving a kick of her own. Guy could not dodge he was in midair, but he was able to guard himself before the kick connected with Guy's stomach. Everyone in the crowd eyes pop opening as Guy flew across the stadium floor. Guy flips in midair and lands on the floor. He narrowed his eyes and fell to his knees, holding his stomach. After a few seconds, Guy gets up and disappeared again. He attacks Setsuka at high speed, but for the few who could see, he could not land a hit. He was grinding his teeth in frustration every time he seemed to get closer, but Setsuka was dodging at the last second. Guy stopped and analyzed the situation. She isn't even trying to fight. It's like she's waiting for something. Also, her kicks are as strong as Tsunade-sama's. I have no choice. Rokugato came in, 6th gate, gate of view Kai. Guy said. Setsuka eyes open wide the moment she heard the words. Here I come, Guy said as he vanished. Guy reappeared in front of Setsuka and cries, Asakujaku, morning peacock. Why is Guy-sensei using Asakujaku? Tenten asked her teammates. It means his opponent is strong. Neji said. All those punches, yet not one connected. Kakashi wonder who that girl was as he watches the fight with his Sharingan. Setsuka Ki. CKS Guy causing him to crash into the wall, and she follows with punches of her own. What is that taijutsu form? I've never seen anyone fight like that. Lee said. Karuken. Light fist, Kakashi said as he narrowed his eyes. I've never heard of a taijutsu style like that. Neji said. Few have. It's not common on this side of the world. The name comes from the user's rather light bodies. That girl has to be around 8 to 100 pounds. Yet her strength could be even greater than Tsunade-sama's. A practice of Karuken is known for two things. Their immense strength in combat and for moving. At godlike speed without jutsus and seals. Kakashi explained. It much different from our Goken, strong fist. Lee said. Yeah, Guy might just lose this match. Kakashi said with concern. That girl have yet to show her true strength. Guy was on the receiving end of a dangerous punch that would have for knock his lights out for sure. However, he managed to stand strong. The 6th gate isn't enough. I have no choice to open up the 7th gate. Namijito Kyomen, 7th gate. Gate of Wonder Kai. Guy-sensei opening the 7th gate. Tenten said. Of course, none of his attacks are working. Neji replies. Setsuka eyed the 7th gate carefully. Looks like you're serious now. Then there is no reason for me to hold back any longer. Setsuka said. She took a defensive stance only for Guy to kick her in the stomach. Eat this, Hirudora, Daytime Tiger, Guy shouted. Like an explosion, Daytime Tiger exploded with such force that everyone was forced to cover their faces from the shock wave. Setsuka appeared from the explosion with only her clothes slightly torn. Impossible, she took Hirudora. Lee shouted. What is she? Kakashi said with his eyes open. Danzo eyes would they pop open had he not trained his emotions to control himself. He never heard of anyone surviving Hirudora before. It moved his left hand to his right eye, thankful that his Sharingan was still covered by bandages. It would take some time for his Sharingan to recover after his failed attempt to control the Kurokage. Guy was panting so hard you could hear him wheezing. You can give up, you know. Setsuka said as she stops moving to Guy. The springtime of youth blossoms twice. Guy said just before he disappeared. Hirudora. Guy shouted, appearing before her in face. Guy appeared in front of her and released his Hirudora at full force so she could take the maximum damage. She couldn't move away in time and guard herself. Hirudora died down and everyone looked shocked to see Setsuka holding Guy's right fist. Her battle kimono was torn but she stood there strong. Setsuka lets go and they both landed on their feet before Guy collapses on the ground. You were first other the Kurokage who managed to injure me. You fought well, but it's over. You can no longer dance. Setsuka said simply. Guy forces himself up, ignoring the pain that was echoing in his muscles. Danzo was watching the fight. GHT carefully with his Sharingan and couldn't believe that little girl was capable of defeating Guy. He could feel his entire plan slipping from him. Danzo-sama, this is bad. If Gai-san doesn't win, then Konoha will become a laughing stock. Quote, it's worse than that. They would gain control Konoha's military power and I cannot allow that to happen. Danzo said, instead of using my genjutsu on the girl who clearly is at her limit, I'll make Gai open the 8th gate and have his noble sacrifice will inspire all of Konoha. If I play this right, I'll become Hokage and Tsunade will be disgraced. Then, I will rule over this petty alliance and all will know my name. Danzo lip curl into a smile and he formed a one-hand ram seal, first making sure no one was watching him. Guy force himself up even T. Huff every cell in his body felt like it was on fire. I cannot lose, not yet. For Konoha's sake I have to win. It's time for the green beast to become a red beast. Hachigeto Shimon, 8th gate, gate of death Kai. A massive shock wave exploded in the stadium. Gai-sensei, Lee shouted as a massive red steam seemed to erupted from Gai. Don't cry, Lee. This is how shinobi dies. Honor your master by watching this till the end. Kakashi said. No one was aware of the sly smile on Danzo's face. Sestuka could feel herself being pushed back. From the pressure of the 8th gate being released. I have no choice, but to go to full strength, even though I'm forbidden from doing so. Setsuka raised her hands and formed 3 seals. This caused Danzo in the stands to raise his eyebrow. He was curious to know what she was up to. I'm having fun. Not since my fight with the Kurokage-sama, have I been pushed this far. You honor me with the release of the 8th gate. I see you wish to fight for your village. But now that I'm about to go to full strength, not even the 8th gate can defeat me. Setsuka said. Kai, she said as her bracers fell to the ground. They landed on the ground with a Lee. GHT clang causing Kakashi and Danzo to raise their eyebrows. What were those bracers? Guy asks. A seal. A special seal that seals away my strength and durability. I'm sure you've heard of the gravity weight seal. These bracers act in a similar fashion. This is me, at full strength. Setsuka said as she vanishes. Sekizo. Evening elephant, Guy said throwing a punch in midair. Setsuka flew back. Just before she could punch Guy herself. Guy vanished and starting hitting Setsuka from all sides. To everyone, Setsuka wasn't even moving as Guy was punching and kicking Setsuka from all directions. Finally Guy's attack stops and he lands on the ground breathing very heavy. Is that it? Setsuka said as she appeared before him. She starts punching Guy like he was a ragged doll before Guy vanished. Sekizo isn't enough. I have no choice but to use Yagai, Night Moth. Guy said as he reappeared behind Setsuka. Everyone watches Guy Yagai and Setsuka right fist connected. The shockwave was causing the people to wonder if a storm was going to brew because they felt they were watching two non-humans fighting. Setsuka flew back and crashed into the wall causing it to fall down on her. Guy flew back and crashed into the stadium support pillar before crashing into the back wall. Guy-sensei, Lee shouted as he rushes towards his sensei and master. Don't help him, Lee. If you help him then his sacrifice will mean nothing. Konoha will automatically be disqualified and the resources we can get will be turned away. Honor him, Lee. Honor his sacrifice. Kakashi said. Up in the stands, the 3 elders were walking towards the cage box trying hard not to smile at their victory. Kurokage, it seems it is over. You will honor your promise, will you not? You will give Konoha the right to rule the alliance as they see fit. Kaharu said. A deal is a deal. The Kurokage said with a smile. Konoha loses. The Kurokage said. At that moment, the rumble that had fallen over Setsuka began to move and She appeared beneath it before tossing it aside. She jumps up and reappears before Maida Guy. Kurokage-sama, Setsuka said and she drops to her knees immediately. The Kurokage said nothing nor ackn. Olage Setsuka responds as he lets her hand go. Instead he kneels beside Guy. Maida Guy, you fought with honor. I would not have expected that from a Konoha shinobi. You're also one of the best taijutsu's user I have seen. For that, you will not die today. You will live, the Kurokage said as he places his right hand on Guy. Guy, who was on verge of turning to ashes, stop and Kakashi watch with high. Sharingan. The chakra that was about to vanish reappeared strong as before the opening of 8 gates. Guy's body also showed signs of cooling down and he was starting to breath normal again. Is that medical ninjutsu? No. It's something else, something stronger. What is his ability? Kakashi wondered. The Kurokage removes his hand and gets up. Kurokage-san, wait, Homaru said as the elders and Tsunade approach him. What is it? The Kurokage said in a bored tone as Taki hands him his cage hat. You may have won fight, but you will stay to discuss the treaty. We still are going to be allies, are we not? Koharu said. What are you talking about? The Kurokage said. It was agreed that if Tanagakure, Hidden Valley Village, won, then we would gain control of Konoha's trade routes and resources. I never agreed to create an alliance between us. The Kurokage said. The elders opened their mouth to protest but stop and realize he was speaking the truth. Surely you can see the benefit of creating an alliance. You said it yourself, we fought with honor. Surely, Koharu said but was cut off by the leader of the alliance. Do not attempt to twist my words. Truthfully, you gave me what the alliance wanted. What reason should the alliance send its men and women to their deaths? What else do you have to offer the alliance? You have been stealing power from the Hokage, and when things go wrong, you shift blame to the Godime-sama and take even more power for yourselves. The alliance refuses to ally themselves with beings who don't even respect their leaders and steal military power from the leaders. Your man may have fought with honor, but you elders did not agree to the terms of the duel. Do not think that genjutsu went unnoticed by me. Genjutsu? What are you talking about, Kurokage-san? Homura said, not showing any forms of respect. Playing innocent. Let me tell you a little about myself. I am a sensor type. I'm so skilled I can see and sense the flow of a person's chakra neural network perfectly. Before Guy opened the 8th gate, you Danzo place him under a genjutsu using that right Sharingan eye of yours to force Guy to open the 8th gate. That is not honorable. Danzo, you son of a bitch. Tsunade shouted. The Kurokage is lying, Tsunade. Danzo stated calmly. Inside he was worried. How did he found out about his Sharingan? Remove your bandages, Danzo. Tsunade orders. You do not have the authority or the right to make such a demand, Tsunade. Koharu said. Homaru said nothing but looks at the crowd. They look like they wanted blood. If Danzo refuses to obey his innocence, then there will be no alliance. It matters not. Without the alliance support, Konoha would have been destroyed in a week. The Kurokage said as he turns to leave with his party and bodyguards. In the airship that had taken off, Naruto rested in his chair and sighs as his men look at him. What will you do? Taki asks. I don't know. Guy did fought with honor, but those elders need to go. They just abuse their position too much. Returning to Konoha has given me conflict within. Naruto said as he gives a tired sigh. Should we cancel our plans? Taki said. She didn't know Konoha very well and only knew what Itachi and her husband Naruto told her. Naruto instead turns to a man standing in the shadows. Itachi, what would you do? I am conflicted. A part of me wants to see Konoha destroyed. But there's another part of me that wants to save it and change the way people think about me. I still want to be Hokage. A man raises his conical straw hat and reveals a pair of Sharingan eyes. No words were said, only a brief stare as the 3 tomos shifted into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.